I love how he did kind of the off season. Like, we watched all the tape, and it's like, let's look at each guy and see what one or two things they can get better at that we want them to be mindful of as they get back in the building now, as we go through phase 2 and OTAs. And that's what the game is about, improving the players, So it's been a fun, cool process. A lot of energy, that's for sure. So we'll see. We finally got on the grass today with them, which was cool. So we got 3 weeks of that. And we'll just keep it day by day.
Welcome in. How we looking? It's the Bill Michaels Show. Day number 2 this week without Bill. He'll be back on Friday. My name is Grant Bills, normally the producer, nay, executive producer, which is a title that I've fashioned out for myself here. That voice you just heard. Jonathan Gannon, the new Packers defensive coordinator, spoke yesterday towards the very end of the show, so we didn't get to hear any from Jonathan Gannon on yesterday's show. That's where I want to start. Cam Achord, the new special teams coordinator, also spoke yesterday. I want to get to know that cat a little bit. I haven't dipped into that press conference at all yet, so we can react to those comments and draw our first impressions of that fella together for the first time. So some new Packers voices, some new coaches. We'll meet them on today's show. We'll talk Brewers as well. Unless Chuck had something come up, Chuck Freeman will be here at 11:30, and I even told Chuck, like, hey, you want to stick around for an extra segment and talk Packers or talk Bucks as well? Would love to have you, because Chuck is not only the host of Locked On Brewers, but a sports talk legend in the state of Wisconsin. So Freems should be here in an hour and a half. Matt Pauley, KMOX down in St. Louis, used to be a Brewers broadcaster on that network, going to join us to talk a little Brewers Cardinals as well, and whatever else happens to come up over the next couple of hours. I want to get into a little bit of everything. It should be fun. Take your phone calls and your comments. People chiming in. Looks like the live stream is working. Jeff, the first commenter today, says, where is Bill? Bill's on vacation. Specifically, he is in the Bahamas. And I've seen that he's posted, he's been posting some content. I saw he posted a Brewers video the other day. So follow him on social media. He is posting a little content on vacation. The Bill Michaels Show on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The show live streams on all of those platforms. I would recommend that you just download the Wisco Sports Zone app, because you can listen to Bill's show every day there, and you can live stream the show every day there, because I know for some of our affiliates, some of them carry the Brewer games, or during football or basketball season, maybe you have high school sports on Friday or whatever. You might have programming conflicts, right? So if your local station, where, maybe you're in La Crosse, on WK2I, or Eau Claire, or Platteville, or Marshfield, or wherever, maybe your local affiliate drops Bill sometime for one reason or another to carry something else, just have that Wisco Sports Zone app so you can live stream and listen all of the time. It's super, super, super convenient. And of course, YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, like I said, streams in all those places. And follow Bill, because he's been posting some vacation content. So if you're going through big unit withdrawals, if you're going through Bill withdrawals, he's been posting some videos. I saw he posted a Brewers clip and some pictures. I'm waiting for the picture of his feet at the end of a reclining chair on the beach with a beer and a cigar in his hand. It's like, oh, Bill, no one needs to see your toes. But I'm waiting. I haven't seen any vacation content like that so far. I want to start with Jonathan Gannon. I want to react a little bit together. Yesterday was the first time that he spoke. It's when we met him. It's when he was quite literally introduced. So some of the big picture questions were asked by the Packers beat. Tell us what do you believe? How do you build a defense? Or the quintessential question that's always asked of any new coordinator, especially a defensive or offensive coordinator. And I believe that this was Bill Huber who asked this, maybe Pete Doherty, said, Jonathan Gannon, tell us, what does a Jonathan Gannon defense look like?
Well, we'll find out, huh? I'm excited. I'm really big into play style, as Matt is, and the game is about the ball. So, you got to find ways to take it away. And our job is to get Jordan back on the field as quick as we can. So, schematic and technical execution, and play fast.
Now, I can pick apart what he's saying in this answer, and I want to do that first. And then I can give you my reaction to just him in general, the way that he's answering these questions and how he sounds. And I watched this press conference yesterday, how he looks, trying to get the measure of the man. But just in this answer, you can hear he say, well, it's all about the ball. You got to get the ball. It's all about the ball. We got to get the ball back to Jordan. Where have I heard that before? That sounds familiar. Oh, when did that? Oh, that's right. Last spring in last training camp when they had, remember, the Ball King. They had a specific coach, the Ball King. He wasn't very good at it because the Packers didn't really turn other teams over all that often. They didn't really get their hands on the ball that much last season. But you'll notice, listening to Jonathan Gannon, if you have a good memory and you can remember what Jeff Hafley said, what Joe Barry said, what Mike Penn said, all these guys, they say a lot of the same things. They say a lot of them say it's all about the ball. We need to sniff out the ball. We need to lay hits on the guy who has the ball. We need to get our hands on the ball. We need to catch the ball. We need to strip at the ball and punch at the ball. It's the ball. It's the ball. All these guys say something similar, right? I also think that most defensive coordinators that I've ever heard talk say something similar to this. When he says, I don't really get caught up in scheme. I'm not stubborn. I don't really have a scheme or a playbook per se that I stick to.
I don't really get caught up into 4-3, 3-4. We're an NFL style defense, hopefully. And I just believe that you got to continually every year try to adapt and solve problems and really with your guys in mind, right? So this is a whole new crew for me that we're just getting to learn. All new different players, So yeah, there's some principles that, there's some things that I like to do, but it's only if our players can do it. I told them the other day, I was like, if we're not good at this, just because I like it, we're not going to do it.
So when I'm talking about, every other defensive coordinator, whether it's most recently Jeff Hafley, or I remember this with Mike Pettin too, when Mike Pettin was hired. Everyone doing cartwheels because Mike Pettin, I remember this analogy being used a lot. This is a guy, I remember this so clearly. This is a guy who looks at the groceries and then decides what meal he wants to make, not the other way around, right? He's going to cater the meal to what's in the fridge, meaning he's going to consider the players on his team and take into account his talented players, his strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to build the defense around that. Instead of coming in and saying, we're going to run a 3-4 and we're going to play press man and blah, 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 quarters and quarter half, whatever, cover 6. And it doesn't matter what you guys want to do. That's the defense I run. I'm Jonathan Gannon. I'm Dom Capers. I'm Fritz Schirmer. We're going to run what Fritz Schirmer runs. I'm Mike Zimmer, and we're going to do what I want to do. And I don't care what you guys are good at or what you want to do. We're going to run my defense. Most defensive coordinators don't operate that way, or they say they don't operate that way. Most defensive coordinators, when they're hired or when they talk about how they coach, they say, I'm gonna cater my defense to the talent that I have. I'm not going to be rigid. I'm not going to be stubborn. Here's a little bit more from Jonathan Gannon on that exact topic.
That's our job. We got to put them in the best positions possible that they feel comfortable that they can go out and play the game. And before scheme, I truly believe it's not what you play, it's how you play. And that goes into, Matt calls it play style. I love that. So that's been cool with our guys to define that for them. Here's the expectation. Here's what you're accountable for. We're all accountable for it. Because I think that's what a good defense looks like, a fast, violent, physical team that takes the ball away.
So one more thing from Jonathan Gannon specifically that I want to play, and I have probably 10 to 15 cuts. We'll sprinkle them in throughout the show. But one more for this opening segment that I want to play. I think it was Jason Wilde asked him yesterday about a story or a urban legend around the NFL that when Jonathan Gannon was hired in Philadelphia by Nick Sirianni, that he told Nick Sirianni, I don't have a playbook. I would assume that in the interview, it's like, all right, Jonathan Gannon, pull out your 3-ring binder or whatever and show me what you like to run. And Jonathan Gannon's answer, his approach was, I don't have a playbook. It's brand new every year. I'm going to come up with it when I get my peepers and my hands on our guys to see what they're good at and to get a feel for what they're good at. And Wilde basically asked him, like, is that story true? Tell us about that.
We developed the playbook when we get here. I told the players that I said, this is going to be a little different for them because, as we're teaching them things, they're going to see tape of Philly, Minnesota, Arizona, Green Bay, San Francisco, Buffalo, Alabama, Georgia. I don't really get caught up in, if you said, this is my playbook, here's what we're going to run. What I just said to you guys earlier is kind of full of what, right? Because you're really not adapting your scheme to the players you have. This is just what we do. Well, if this guy can't do that, what are you going to do? We're just going to do that. Doesn't make sense to me. So it truly is, it really is the truth when I tell you guys, like, this is going to be a new system this year. It's the 2026 Green Bay Packers, and it's awesome to me. It's fun.
So that's kind of the general gist, big picture. Now, he was asked about Javon Hargrave, and I think that's kind of interesting and maybe worth reacting to, because this was both the introductory press conference and like this is a functional press conference too. There's rookie mini camp going on. There's practices going on. So like these reporters, there's a whole mix of questions and topics that were discussed. It was a lot of big picture stuff. Tell us about your scheme. Tell us about your approach. And then also, hey, Javon Hargrave's here. Tell us about that. I believe it was either Tom Silverstein or Pete Doherty asked, what kind of player do you like on the D-line? Do you like big fat guys in the middle? Do you like ends that stand up? So mixing some comments throughout the show. But for this opening segment, just kind of getting to know Jonathan Gannon, one thing that sticks out to me, other than his fluid approach in which he doesn't have a playbook, again, not unique to him. Every defensive coordinator says it, but it does seem to be a bit more extreme or a very strong example of that. My big picture takeaway, just getting the measure of the man and getting a feel for this guy. He was so relaxed up there. And, Mike Clemens sends us a lot of this audio. Mike Clemens sent audio of the special teams coordinator and Adam Stenovich. It's the players. I don't know what was with the flow of practice yesterday, but Mike didn't send the full Jonathan Gannon presser. So I had to record it yesterday. So I went to Packers.com or I went to their YouTube and I watched while I recorded. I watched them, which sometimes these press conferences I don't watch. Like we're just listening to what Matt LaFleur had to say. I can get an idea of what he looks like. All right. But with Gannon, this is the first time I wanted to get the measure of him. Like, what's this guy about? And he looks like he sounds. He's relaxed up there. I've never heard someone try less to win a press conference. Does that make sense? So typically in an introductory press conference, you're selling yourself. You're introducing yourself to the media and to the fan base and to everyone who's following the team. And if you go back to Jeff Hafley's first press conference, which would have been February, 2+ years ago now, would have been about 2 years and 2 or 3 months ago, because they had an introductory press conference with Jeff Hafley, like a normal NFL team should. I don't know what crawled up Packers PR's ass this year. They just waited to May, whatever. I know it's a small thing and most of you don't care, but I care. So 2 years and a couple months ago when they introduced Jeff Hafley, and I've gone back and I've found the sound bites. His answers were like 2 or 3 minutes long. He's up there fitting the whole world in an answer. I'm going to talk about, and Brian Gutekunst helped me with this. And Matt LaFleur, man, he's been so great in this process. And I mean, it's Green Bay. I mean, you grow up a football fan. It's this mecca of football. And every answer is just like this wide range. He's just pulling every person in the organization getting pulled into the answer. And it's 2 or 3 minutes long, which annoys me because I'm trying to find sound bites that I don't like to play sound bites that are longer than a minute. If we're doing a little rejoin bumper coming back from a break, I like to play a piece of sound to try to get Bill rolling, give him something to bounce off of. Hafley's talking for like 2 or 3 minutes. It's like, dude, relax. But he's up there, a lot of energy, and his hands are flying around, and he's looking everybody in the eye, and just like he's engaged, man. Like he's selling. And Gannon is up there, and the first answer to the first question, again, I almost laugh at this. What does your defense look like? What does a Jonathan Gannon defense look like? This is how he responded.
Well, we'll find out, huh? I'm excited.
I even think that I'm excited. This is so nonchalant.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Yeah, it should be fun. It should be interesting. We'll see. I'm not. This is not even commentary on whether or not the press conference was good or bad. He was just so. All right, what's up? What do you got? What kind of defense do I run? I guess we'll see. Takes drink of water. Like he was not up there hard selling. He was just up there answering questions plainly, straightforward, not talking for 2 or 3 minutes when 45 seconds was doing the trick. Very interesting, very relaxed, kind of soft-spoken, not all that different in his delivery and tenor than listening to Aaron Rodgers at times. I had a listener last night on my evening drive show point that out. It's like he kind of sounds like Rodgers, just very thoughtful and inflective, well-spoken, but not projecting and not, real loud, just kind of more withdrawn. And there's a real intensity to this guy's eyes. I mean, he sounds very relaxed, stands very relaxed, but the eyes look like they're hiding a serial killer, and not even necessarily a football serial killer, but maybe a real life serial killer. Like, I look behind those eyes, there's a machinery of wheels clicking away back there. It's just a very interesting cat. And I think he's so comfortable and he's so relaxed. And I think part of it is he probably feels like, I've done this job before. I've been an NFL defensive coordinator before. I'm comfortable. I know how to do this job. I know what it takes. I know the media obligations. I know the routine. I know all of it. Whereas Jeff Hafley, the last guy, showed up. He was a head coach in college. He was a defensive backs coach. He was a co-defensive coordinator at Ohio State, but he had never been a defensive coordinator in the NFL. He had never done the job before. So he's in there. What do we got? Yeah, hey, I understand. I'm coming from Boston College. You probably have a lot of questions. Let me help answer them. And Gannon's like, all right, what? What kind of defense do I run? I don't know.
Well, we'll find out, huh?
We'll find out.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be fun. He's just so comfortable in this role. Fascinating departure from Jeff Hafley. And I get a great sense of competence and confidence from Jonathan Gannon. It just presents very differently than the way it presented with Hafley, which was a little car salesman-y. And there was some great content and great energy there. It was great for the talk show. I don't know that Gannon is going to be appointment listening like Hafley was, but he's just not working so damn hard to sell it. And I think part of that is I've done this job before. Recently, at a high level, I'm comfortable here. It's like if you were hired at a company to do the same job you've already done at 2 other companies. I don't need to, my track record speaks for itself. I've done the gig before. I know how to interact with clients or build a book of business or do this or do that. There's just there's a real confidence there where he didn't have to try all that hard yesterday. So that is probably a way deeper dive into a press conference than you needed, but it's a 4-hour show. So if we're not going to do deep dives in a 4-hour show, why do we have a 4-hour show? I'll take your calls on this. If you're interested, I have some more nitty-gritty nuts and bolts comments from Jonathan Gannon, including what kind of D-line play he likes, the Micah Parsons of it all, Javon Hargrave, who he coached in Philly with great success. So we can get into all of that, but any big picture takeaways that you have on the Packers' new defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, who was introduced yesterday. I'll take your calls next. 608-321-1670.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Chuck, what happens if someone applied before and was denied?
Craig, I love this question, and the answer is simple. If you were denied in the past and still looking for a loan, before you go somewhere else and pay way too much, give us another shot. Everyone's situation changes. You may have a cosigner, a new job, a raise, who knows, but we're going to try to help.
I'm telling you, it seems like my credit score goes up and down each month.
Great point. We don't use a traditional credit score at the DLC, and you don't need great credit or collateral. We can also help you consolidate those expensive payday and title loans because we lend way more and charge way less.
Dollar Loan Center loves Madison and lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by a nearby location, apply over the phone, or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Is there anything that you think Packers fans should know about this guy as he takes over as defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think he's a stud.
Well, I like that.
I really do. I knew that. I didn't know much about him until the Eagles hired him as defensive coordinator, whatever year that was, 2020, 2021. And honestly, Grant, I think I wrote down in my notes about 3 minutes into talking with him. In my notes, it said, this guy's going to be a head coach. He's just that dynamic, that impressive, that engaging when you talk with him. And obviously they had a ton of success in Philadelphia with him, which is why he was able to get that Cardinals head coaching job.
Ross Tucker, he was on the show last Friday. Really likes Jonathan Gannon. Really impressive guy. I'm glad that he mentioned, the fact that he went on to be head coach of the Cardinals. This came up yesterday, both on Bill's show 10 to 2, and then I do Evening Drive on the network from 4 to 6. So this came up on the evening show too. It's like, well, his tenure with the Cardinals. Well, if we all like Jonathan Gannon so much, how do you explain the Cardinals gig? Well, I don't really care if a coordinator is a good head coach. Just a couple of examples come to mind. Like Josh McDaniels been a disastrous head coach. He goes back to New England, is instantly good at being an offensive coordinator again. Just like that. And it wasn't just with Brady. Like now goes back Drake May, great. Right the second he arrives back in the building. Steve Spagnuolo, bad head coach. Great defensive coordinator. I think head coaching and coordinating, two very, very different jobs. Clearly, I don't hold failures against players or coaches if the failures occur with the Jets. I don't hold it against you. That building is a nightmare. Anybody who goes there and does not have success, I do not hold it against them. I think Robert Saleh is a freaking awesome coordinator, and I think he could probably be a pretty good head coach. Now, unfortunately, his second go-around is going to be with the Titans. It's like, could a good organization maybe try this guy? I think it'll probably go better in Tennessee, but I still have my doubts. I feel pretty similarly about the Cardinals than I do about the Jets. Smaller media market, fewer people care about them, but the Cardinals, I think, historically have been pretty Jetsian in that I don't know that any coach that goes there is going to have great success. And I don't know that many elite players who are drafted there are going to go have success. Like, yeah, okay, Gannon was a bad head coach. A, I don't care that he wasn't a good head coach. And B, it was in Arizona. What did you expect? If he was a disaster of a head coach of a really good organization, maybe I'd care a little bit more, but I still wouldn't care that much. So that's Ross Tucker. an overview on his point of view on Jonathan Gannon, and he's a Philly guy, so he's around that team and around that organization a lot. Let's take a call here. 608-321-1670. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Clemhead Mike from Chippewa.
I figured this might be you, Clemhead. What's going on? Good morning.
Well, good morning to you. I was just, Goose and I were just talking on live stream about how hard it is. I don't know if people realize how hard it is to do 2 radio shows a day and talk for 6 straight hours. That's almost impossible. Of course, my wife could fill in. She can talk nonstop for 16 hours a day, but
Bill's show's not a problem. The only time it starts to be a problem is around 5:40, the evening show, and then my brain starts to melt down a little bit. This week has been nice. I don't blame you. Because, for example, yesterday we did the full Bills show, and then we had Jonathan. All these things happened in the afternoon, so like Bills 4 hours yesterday and the evening drive, they're actually 2 very different shows. Right? Like I didn't just repeat everything because we had some coordinators who spoke and the Brewers made some roster decisions. So this has been, for the springtime, considering the Bucs are out of the playoffs, this has been a pretty eventful week for both the Packers and the Brewers so far. And the Bucs are going to introduce a coach tonight. I think it's tonight. I'm 90% sure it's tonight. Let me check.
Oh, you're doing a great job, man.
Well, thank you. I know that was a lot more than you asked for on that subject,
but you stole my thunder. I was just going to call you and say Jonathan Gannon was a really good defensive coordinator with the Eagles, and then he goes to Arizona. Nobody succeeds in Arizona, but you already said that, so you stole my thunder.
Well, Clement, we can talk more about it. I can't
blame him for anything.
We can talk more about it because I think people recognize the Jets stink, and no one like if a coach goes to the Jets and is bad, or a player goes there, nobody holds that against him. I don't think we talk about the Cardinals enough and how they're just a black hole down there. But they don't get the pub. They're not the media market that the Jets are, so we don't often talk about it.
Yeah, like you said, I think you said yesterday, the NFC version of the Jets black hole is the Arizona. Yeah, so I agree with you completely on that.
And in a harder division, I think the NFC West, you're dealing with the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Niners. The Jets, like now the Patriots are good again, but the Jets, like, it should be easier to win for the Jets. That division is mostly, I know Josh Allen is there, but other than that, the Patriots have been down. The Dolphins are the Dolphins. There are 3 titans in the NFC West. I think Jonathan Gannon with a backup quarterback last year actually did okay. I know he's not winning any awards, but didn't they, after starting really poorly, didn't they win like 7 or 8 games? I have to go back and check.
Well, much like the rest of the country, no one remembers. Yeah. So
again, no one pays attention to the football team that plays in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep. So, yeah, I just wanted to agree with you. So, keep up the great work, Grant. Well, hopefully I'll be able to watch both shows today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Clement. Thanks for the call. I misremembered badly on Arizona. I thought they started slow and then actually played decent. They started with 2 wins and then they sucked. They went 3-14 last year. I really misremembered. But some of these games, here's what I do remember. Now it's coming back to me on Arizona. They were at one point 2-1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They lost 5 in a row going into their bye, and the 5th game of their losing streak was the loss to the Packers. But they lost to the Niners by 1. They lost to the Seahawks by 3, the Super Bowl champion. They lost to the Titans by 1. They lost to the Colts by 4. They lost to the Packers by 4. And I don't know how you Packers fans, I don't know how you remember the Packers-Cardinals game last year. That game was right down to the wire. And if the Cardinals had maybe made a little plan to deal with Micah Parsons, the Cardinals might have won that game. They lost to Jacksonville by 3 in overtime. They lost to the Bucs by 3. Like, a lot of these games, they were right there. I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt and tell you that Jonathan Gannon, he did a great job at 3-14 last year. But again, when you consider that the Cardinals are basically the NFC's version of the Jets in a harder division, and they played with a backup quarterback all of last year, I guess I just don't know what people wanted from Jonathan Gannon. I know the Hard Knocks moment was weird. By the way, this isn't even some impassioned defense of Jonathan Gannon. I don't know if he's going to be any good at all. I think he'll probably be fine. I would be probable to defend any coach who didn't have success in Arizona, is my point. Any player or coach that comes out of Arizona, I'm probably going to defend them and say, it probably wasn't their fault. The same way that I would if they're coming out of the Jets. That's not even a Jonathan Gannon. This is more of a Cardinals conversation than a Jonathan Gannon conversation. Let's take another call here and then we'll take a break. Bill Michaels Show. Who's this?
Hey, Doug.
Doug, hey, up in Luxembourg. What's going on, Doug?
Well, the other day I said I didn't want to hear Jonathan Gannon speak, but he spoke.
You did. Yep.
So I did like one thing he said.
Okay.
We're gonna see what we got, and we're gonna go with what works, and we're not gonna try to force players to do my whatever it is. I'm not and everybody was all wound up about getting a nose tackle. Kind of come out and said, I'm not really a 3-4 guy or a 4-3 guy. We're just going to use what works, what kind of players we have. And I like that. And, most teams now, there are very few 3-4 defenses really out there anymore in the pros. That's a high school defense.
Yeah.
Meant to stop the wishbone offense, So you're gonna want 4 down linemen, and I'm basically pretty positive that's what the Packers are going to do for most of the season anyway. 42, 5 defensive backs. That's basically the base defense now of all teams.
Well, I was going to say that's what most teams run, Doug. The more defensive backs or light, small, fast linebackers they can get on the field, the better it seems. That's what most teams are doing.
Yeah, you don't find just your big nose tackles anymore. Like I say, that's for stopping the run. It's not for stopping the pass.
Yeah.
It's
a passing league.
So I'm not worried about it. And I like the idea of the coach using the players to their best abilities. I hope he does that. I would like to see Edgerrin Cooper get a little time more out on the edge a little bit. Use that speed. Get him after the quarterback.
Sorry, Doug, to jump in. I would like them to put Edgerrin Cooper in a position to make plays. And I think rushing the passer is a part of that. I feel like I'm told all the time, man, Edgerrin Cooper's the balls. He took a big jump. He took a big leap. I just feel like I'm not noticing him enough then. Like, put him in places to go hit the quarterback, put him in a spot to go make a play on the ball, to get a tackle for loss. I just move that guy around. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Good call, Doug. I appreciate it. Very, very football heavy, scheme heavy. We can talk a little bit more about that. I'll give you some more nuts and bolts from Jonathan Gannon. Gave you kind of some initial reaction, piecing together maybe what went wrong and what happened in Arizona. I don't think it matters. I don't think it should ever matter when you're hiring a coordinator, how they did as a head coach. 2 different jobs, least of all if they're coming from the Jets or if they're coming from the Cardinals, who I think are the NFC's version of the Jets. We'll get a little bit more football heavy. How does he view the defensive front? What kind of players does he want along that front? How does he view Javon Hargrave? Now a reunion. They played and coached together in Philly. So we'll get to that on the other side. And any real hardcore nuts and bolts, football nuts and bolts with Jonathan Gannon next. And more of your phone calls at 608-321-1670. We'll be right back.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I don't really get caught up into 4-3, 3-4. We're an NFL style defense, hopefully. And I just believe that you got to continually every year try to adapt and solve problems and really with your guys in mind, right? So this is a whole new crew for me that we're just getting to learn. All new different players, So yeah, there's some principles that, there's some things that I like to do. But it's only if our players can do it. I told him the other day, I was like, if we're not good at this just because I like it, we're not going to do it.
Picking over Jonathan Gannon's introductory press conference yesterday, his opening remarks to the Packers beat, talking about what makes his defenses tick, and he's given you what most defensive coordinators would give you on the day they're introduced. I'm going to build my defense around the players we have. I'm not going to be stubborn. Every team is different, blah, blah. Most guys say that. I think most defensive coordinators execute that to varying degrees. I think some guys are stubborn. I don't get the sense that Jonathan Gannon is. I believe what he's saying, that they're not going to get bogged down in a 3-4 versus a 4-3. And thank God, because between you and me, I'm really not interested in breaking down the 3-4 versus the 4-3. And now they're playing quarters, and now they're playing cover 6, and now they're playing cover 1. And I don't necessarily think the Packers' problem last year had to do with scheme. I think last year the Packers' issue had to do with DNA. Could your best players make that play in the biggest moment? And they couldn't. And that was both sides of the ball. But just to stick with the defense, does a 3-4 or a 4-3 make the difference between Keyshawn Nixon having his head up his rectum in a huge division game committing a dumb penalty? Does a quarters coverage versus cover 6 or cover 2 or cover what? Is that making the difference between Rashawn Gary giving up on a play, chasing Caleb Williams? Right? A blitz versus or a press man coverage versus zone. Is that the difference between Xavier McKinney catching the ball or not? Like that to me was the Packers' issue last year. The Packers' issue last year was not necessarily schematic, although I think a good coach finds schematic advantages. It was the DNA. It was the heart and soul. It was the edge and the attitude, or I guess more specifically, the lack thereof. I'll give you some football nuts and bolts, including a comment on the D-line and how he likes to align and how he likes to build that thing out, and his thoughts on Javon Hargrave, that reunion. First, before we do that, I want to take one call here, 608-321-1670. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Who's this?
Well, it's probably Gerard from Delaware.
Hey, Gerard, what's going on? I figured we might hear from you before. You couldn't stay away until Bill was back. You at least had to call in once. It's good to hear from you.
Same. It's good to hear your show. You're doing a great job as usual and a lot of hours, right?
Thank you, Gerard.
Hey, you know, I like Gannon. I like what he says. I like that stuff. But he's not. I don't think he's just a talker like the last guy we had, Halfley, who could read a nuclear fusion for dummies, and the next thing you know, he would get a job looking over a nuclear plant. He'd talk him into it. I never liked Halfley. But anyway, I have some interesting news for you guys. You know the quarterback that Gannon had last, Kyler Murray, that's with Minnesota now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Allegedly, and I'm pretty sure he did, he purchased a house in Medellin, Colombia.
Kyler Murray
He would
did?
be the only... Yes. I'll be down there in July, and I'll find out where and for sure in the whole bit. But he would be the biggest idiot that I have ever heard, and the only American athlete that I ever heard that purchased. Now, Edgar Renteria lives in Barranquilla. Jose Quintanes from Cucuta. I mean, not from, that area, Cucuta area. But anyway, you know, he used to pitch for the Brewers. But anyway, he would be a complete idiot. Okay. First of all, I know the areas that he would have bought, like Rio Negro near the airport, or Guatapé, or this sort of, those sort of areas. He would have. Now the Fincas are beautiful. They're big houses in the mountains and the whole bit. They're about 400, 500,000. They come with a maid, this and that, but they also come with a safe room, electric fences, gated community with security, which means nothing to the gangs and the cartels. Okay, this guy is automatically a target.
Yeah.
Okay, automatically. And he's an idiot. I can't wait to get down there and find out all the information.
Well,
he's a bigger idiot than I have ever heard. I couldn't believe when I got a reliable source that told me this.
I just Googled it, and I don't have anything specific about a house, but within the last week or two, like people with an Instagram post here and there, like bumping into Kyler Murray at a cafe in Medellin. Like, yeah, it looks like he spends time down there. So I absolutely believe what you're telling me.
You know what he's doing down there, right?
What do you think he's doing?
You know what he's doing? No, what he's doing is making his house into a place of ill repute, if I could say on the air.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what
That's
you mean.
the only reason he would be there.
Well, I mean, Gerard,
you understand?
You go down to Colombia a lot. So I've never been to Colombia. I'm sure this is shocking news to you, but it's stunningly beautiful. Like it would be
it's
a beautiful,
the third most beautiful country in the world.
Now
look,
you need to find safe, you need to go about it safely and as you would with a lot of foreign, but it's a stunning place to go and visit and to spend time.
Well, let me explain this to you. It is a beautiful place. It has a lot of history. It's a beautiful place. The problem now is the girls have joined the gangs. And they're scopelining a lot of these people. And in the last 2 weeks, we had a rabbi that was found dismembered from New York City. We got a police officer from here that's missing. And we got an American Airlines flight attendant that was scopeling and killed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
These girls are drugging these guys and robbing them. They're letting them into the Airbnbs and doing all this stuff. Kyler Murray's an idiot. Let me tell you something. You have no idea. As soon as you go through customs, those guys are on the take. They know where you're going. They get paid for information. They do all this stuff.
They flag you.
All the games.
Have you ever seen Narcos, Gerard? Have you seen the show Narcos?
I don't watch them because I lived it. I don't watch it. The only one I will tell you, and I want your whole audience to hear this. the most accurate portrayal of the mob that you're ever going to see is The Sopranos.
Sure.
Period.
Well,
That's
you're out,
it.
you're
That's
out on the East Coast. But I just know in Narcos, like there's lots of examples of when people enter the country, the customs agent sees the passport, marks it down, and then passes that in. Guess who's here? Passes along the information, runs that up the flagpole. So even when you're at the airport, these people who are on the take flag you and, pass it along.
As soon as you get to Rio Negro into the airport in Medellin, or if you go to Cartagena or Bogota, in Bogota, you can't even walk the streets anymore. They're killing people left and right and robbing them. So it's really bad down there right now.
Gerard, if I want to visit Colombia and see the sights, what city would you recommend then? Or maybe you just would recommend I don't go.
If you wanted to see the sights, if you wanted to know the history and see the sights, you would go to Cartagena, the Wall of Boulevard and everything. It's super beautiful. It's super historic. It's super hot. It's 115 degrees in the shade. Yeah. Okay. Now, the prettiest city and the nicest city is Medellin, but it's landlocked. Okay, so the food is unbelievable there. It's all meat. It is unbelievable. The women. Now, I'm going to tell your audience this: between Medellin and Caracas and Venezuela, there are no better looking women on the planet than those.
Well, maybe
women.
that's why Kyler Murray's going down there.
I told you that. I told you
funny.
that's what he's doing. I mean, he's an idiot, but he's marked. You got to understand this. You got to understand this, what they do. Like I told you, Shakira and Sofia Vergara, they wouldn't even keep their kid. Well, she only has one, Sofia Vergara. He's big now. But they wouldn't even want to they don't keep their kids down there. They were kept in Spain and in Florida.
Yeah.
Because they don't want them kidnapped.
They're high profile.
You got to my buddy. Look, I'll tell you something real quick.
Go ahead.
My buddy, who is CIA, he delivered the Sears money for the Sears ransom kid in Bogota. Okay, they forged a letter that the CIA or FBI or anybody could dispute. They said it was definitely the Sears kid's letter. It was not. It was written by them. He delivered the money in a suit. My buddy delivered the money in a suitcase of $1 million to these people, and they got away with it. Okay, they are way ahead of the game down there. The women are dangerous. You idiots that go down there looking for women in party time are going to end up dead. Got it?
So first of all, I'm going to look into this Kyler Murray thing. We got 2 minutes here, Gerard. Can you give me 60 seconds on Joe Mazzulla and your Celtics? What happened?
Okay, the big thing that's going around is that Joe Mazzulla got tired of hearing the media telling him how to coach his team.
Yes.
So they were advising him, you should play this player more, that player more, and everything else. So Joe Mazzulla in Game 7 said, I'm going to do exactly what the media told me, and he did.
I believe that, actually.
Okay?
I've heard Boston media people talk about that. You want me to play the bench? Fine. Here's the bench lineup to start the game. Go nuts. Here's Luka Garza.
That's it. That's exactly right. That's exactly what Joe Mazzulla is, a no-nonsense, tough-nosed coach. Now, remember this. Politically in Boston, they don't like him because he doesn't roll with the woke folks and all that stuff. Okay,
sure.
So they anything that he does that they can consider wrong, they're going to make it 1,000,000 times worse.
Sure.
Okay, so you have to look at it politically there in that area because it is that, unfortunately. All right, so they want to jump on top of him, and the big rumor out of there is, and I'm going to tell you right now to you guys, it's Pritchard, Hauser, and White in a mix of draft picks for Giannis. That's what they're talking. That's what they're talking.
Would you rather do that or let's say Jaylen Brown and a pick for Giannis straight up, and then you keep all those depth, those role players? Because I've heard both kind of things.
Brown is a guy that doesn't want to take responsibility for it when he plays badly. But when he plays well, he's all,
Yeah.
So Brown, I don't know if I would do that. I'm not sure what I would do. I got mixed feelings on Giannis. He's 32. He's hurt a lot, and he gets away with too much. You know what I mean. I don't want to go through all that. I like him, but I don't know if with him, Tatum and Brown, what they need is a real point guard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they really need to keep the ball away from Brown and Tatum's hands constantly. They need to do something with that team.
It's a tricky spot, Gerard. We can talk more about this. I got to get to a break. If you hear anything about Kyler Murray, can you call us back later this week and keep us updated?
I will.
Thank you, Gerard.
I will. You're welcome. Take care, Grant.
You
Bye-bye.
too, Gerard. Take care. Gerard out in Delaware. Yeah, I Googled it. There's people tagging Kyler Murray in Instagram post down in Columbia. God, Gerard, of course Gerard's got the lowdown on this. Okay, I know I keep telling you that I have comments from Jonathan Gannon that I want to play about some real football things, and we'll get to that. Sorry, it's just when Gerard has a Columbia connection. It's actually very interesting. We'll get to more Jonathan Gannon. Chuck Freeman going to be here a little bit early. He's normally here at 11:30. He'll be here at 11:15. We're going to do 2 segments with Chuck, including a segment where we talk a little Packers football before we get into the Brewers. Clearly what he joins us every week for with Locked On Brewers, but Chuck can talk about a little bit of everything. So that's coming up. To begin hour number 2, more from Jonathan Gannon next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, welcome back to Bill Michaels Show. How we looking? A very Jonathan Gannon and Gerard in Delaware heavy first hour of the show. We're going to get into the Brewers to begin hour number 2. Chuck Freeman just around the corner. 1 or 2 more cuts from Jonathan Gannon asked about, hey, what kind of size do you like on your D-line? Do you like a nose tackle? Hopefully not, because they don't have one. And do you like to stand your ends up or no? This is a very football nuts and bolts question for those of you that are interested in such details.
That's a little bit player dependent, honestly. I mean, our edge guys, be able to affect the passer from a rush standpoint, be able to set a firm edge and a little bit of drop when we need him to, but stands that can be predicated on the guy and by call, honestly. I do like standing our guys up at times because it gives them some vision, but it'll be kind of player dependent.
This is a very noticeable trend, right? It just depends on the players. And finally, a reunion with Javon Hargrave. I think Javon Hargrave had double-digit sacks in Philly under Gannon, if I remember correctly.
Well, I didn't. He had the 11 sacks, not me. He's a good player, so he that was a good defense with a lot of good players, and he was a part of that defense. When we watched it, when we had the ability to acquire him or the chance to acquire him, team first guy, loves football, smart, and he works his butt off, and he's tough as nails. So anybody that kind of checks those boxes, you want to acquire him if you can. So he checked all those boxes. I'm excited to get back with him.
I also think from a big picture perspective, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, that's a player I'd be interested in just because he brings some experience to a team that's been really young, and I think it's showed. It's not an excuse. I'm not excusing their shortcomings because they built a young team. So no one made you build the team that way the last couple of years. You see Goody sprinkling in some experience, Zaire Franklin and Javon Hargrave on the front, some guys who are on the other side of 30. I think tactically, Jonathan Gannon likes having that player, and I think spiritually, big picture, the Packers will be better off for having that experience as well. Let's get into the Brewers to begin hour number 2. Chuck Freeman looming around the corner, but first we'll get the headlines from Ebo, and we'll be right back on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Milwaukee Brewers would fall 6-3 in St. Louis last night. Starting pitcher Chad Patrick would take the loss, going 3 1/3 innings, giving up 7 hits and 4 earned runs while striking out 4. Then offensively, the Brewers wouldn't score till the top of the 6th inning when Luis Rengifo drove in Drake Bowers on a single to left field, and Bryce Terang hit his 5th homer of the season in the 9th. Last night also saw the return of Jackson Chourio in the lineup. He finished 4 for 4 in his first game back. It'll be Brewers and Cardinals again tonight. First pitch from St. Louis will be at 6:45. Turning to the Packers, they have a new backup quarterback. It's veteran Tyrod Taylor. The 36-year-old has spent time with 7 different teams and was with the Jets the last 2 years. Started 4 games, throwing for nearly 800 yards, 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this past season. New defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon was asked about Taylor when he spoke with reporters yesterday.
Yeah, I just met him before I walked in the door. He's a good player, man. Played against him a long time, but accurate, and he's mobile. So those are the 2 things that pop me. He's a playmaker, so can deliver the ball accurately, and it's hard to get him down in the pocket.
The team released quarterback Desmond Ridder to make room for Taylor.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
The Bucs made the hire of their new head coach, Taylor Jenkins, official late last week. He'll meet with the media in a press conference tomorrow, and Wisconsin football's 2027 recruiting class sits at 14th in the country after several recent additions. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Yeah, fabulous effort. 5 great at-bats. We just obviously didn't come up with a big hit for them. We battled. We hit some balls hard right at people. They had tremendous timely hitting. We left 12 guys on base. 12 guys on base. Yeah, that's not timely hitting.
Pat Murphy last night after the game talking about Jackson Chourio's performance. 4 hits and a walk, 2 doubles, 2 singles, and until the 9th inning, which kind of felt like garbage time. You don't have to agree, but Terang hit a homer in the 9th. Contreras had a hit in the 9th. It felt very garbage timey. So I know the Brewers ultimately scored 3 runs, which still isn't that many. But through the first 8 innings, they had scored 1, which is disappointing considering Chourio came back and gave the Brewers, everything they could have hoped for other than maybe a home run last night. Okay. So we're going to get into some Brewers talk. Chuck Freeman looming here in about 15, 20 minutes. He's going to do 2 segments with us. So looking forward to chatting Brewers with Chuck, but also, talking a little Packers as well. But that Pat Murphy cut just gets us into this hour. It's the Bill Michaels Show. My name is Grant Bills. You can call and join if you'd like. 608-321-1670. And the live stream, your comments, you can text in as well. Let's start with Chourio in the offense. Chourio, like I said, 4 hits, 2 doubles, 2 singles, and hit the ball hard. Both of his doubles, 109, 108. His single was 105, and his other single was 102. Holy crap, man. Those weren't cheap hits. He pissed on all of those balls. And in the first inning, it was, I don't know, 6 inches to a foot from the top of the wall there in left center. That could have been a home run. Not that it would have made a world of difference. There was nobody on base. Maybe the Brewers lose 6-4 instead of 6-3, if the game proceeds the way that it ultimately proceeded. And, they get a couple garbage time knocks in the 9th. And Durang's home run wasn't a cheap. He hit it like 415, so I'm not going to take that away from him. That was 105 off the bat, too. So a couple of swings, just not timely. And William Contreras grounding into one double play that absolutely killed him, grounding out in another big spot. I think Contreras was coming into last night. Wasn't he like some ridiculous, like 6 for his last 10? Or I don't remember exactly what the number was. But he was white hot coming into last night and then comes up with a couple of opportunities and just blasts the ball into the ground. Hits it hard, sure. I get a little annoyed watching the Brewers broadcast and listening to the radio broadcast. And I understand they're not going to sit on the team broadcast and rip the team. I understand. So it's not a criticism of the broadcast. It's just a criticism of, it's a criticism of me. Because I'll listen to the broadcast and there'll be, runners on base, maybe 2 outs. And Contreras will come up there and he'll smoke a ball at 103, 104, right at the shortstop or right at the second baseman, 6-4-3 double play or 4-6-3 double player out of the inning. And I got to listen to the team broadcaster. You're like, hit it right at a guy. Not much you can do. It's like, yeah, there is. He could elevate the ball. He could hit it out of the infield. And as great of a player as Contreras is, and I tweeted about this last night, people throwing his, batting average with runners in scoring position back in my face because I got frustrated with that 6-4-3 double play. It was a huge moment in the game. And I got people tweeting at me. It's like, what are you talking about? He's got a 928 OPS with runners in scoring position. Yeah, but I don't want him at the plate with runners on and a potential rally because I can just feel that he's going to ground the ball to the shortstop, to the second baseman. He's hitting it into the ground. He doesn't elevate it enough. William Contreras would be an MVP candidate every year and arguably the best catcher in baseball if he just didn't struggle to elevate the ball the way that he did. It's his one bugaboo as a player. He hits the ball hard hits the ball hard, always. He barrels the ball. He hits it hard. He can play 150 games. I mean, he can play probably 162. He shouldn't, but realistically, he can catch 150 games a summer. He can manage a pitching staff. He's great defensively. He's great at throwing. He hits the ball hard. He barrels the ball. He just doesn't elevate it. And that doesn't make him a bad player. It just prevents him from being truly, truly elite. And you saw that last night. A couple of texts coming in. And Coach Freed is asking about the pitching staff. So first, I'm going to take Johnny Cribbage's texts. And he says he wants to ask this question to Chuck. And I can ask this to Chuck. But he says, what is plan B to replace Garrett Mitchell at leadoff? I don't want Garrett Mitchell hitting leadoff. He's not the type of player I would put. I felt when the game started last night and he strikes out swinging, ball up in the zone, like that just felt in that moment. I'm like, okay, so that's how tonight's going to go. I could just feel it. Garrett Mitchell, to his credit, has taken more walks this year. And I'm just pulling up his stats. And I don't know. I don't know if he's taking like a high percentage of walks relative to the rest of the league. I know he's improved. I'm looking at his MLB percentile rankings, his StatCast page. So this year, he is walking actually in the 95th percentile in all of baseball. He's been great. And I just for comparison, I'd bet you dollars to donuts if I go back to 2025. Well, the problem with freaking Garrett Mitchell, he doesn't play enough games. I can't compare this to anything. He's taking walks, and he's taking walks at a really high level. He's taking walks in the 95th percentile of all Major League Baseball. The problem is, if we're talking about a leadoff hitter, he doesn't get on base enough. He walks at a high level, but he strikes out a ton. That's not the prototype of the player I want leading off the order. The problem is I don't know who else they're supposed to put up there. I would like for it to be Sal Frelick. I think he's been the most disappointing Brewer on the team this year so far, which is really saying something because it's a crowded room. That's a loaded competition. If we're talking about the most disappointing Brewer. I think he's been more disappointing than Hamilton, than Renifo, than Ortiz. I know Ortiz has been worse, but I think Ortiz is awful. I don't think Sal Frelick should be awful at the plate. He's hitting .212 with an on-base at .311 and a slug at .317. That's miserable. If Sal Frelick was even 80 to 90% of what he was last year, which granted last year's probably best case scenario with Sal Frelick. I don't expect him to be that player every season. But if he was 80, 90% of what he was last year, there's your leadoff hitter. That's good. And now you can put Garrett Mitchell in the 5 or the 6 hole, and the strikeouts don't matter as much, and you can still take the walks. Garrett Mitchell hitting leadoff just for the sake of taking his walks this year is not, that's not doing it for me. Plus, people aren't going to pitch around Garrett Mitchell. They're not going to walk him when he's hitting leadoff now when Jackson Chourio's behind him. He's going to get pitches to hit, which probably means pitches at the top of the zone, which he will swing at and which he will miss. So I agree that I would prefer Garrett Mitchell to not hit leadoff. You can't have Chourio do it because he's the one guy who I can probably trust to drive in runs other than Contreras and Terang, who also can't do it. It can't be Bowers. It can't be Tyler Black. It can't be Andrew Vaughn. Hamilton, maybe, but so I agree with the texter here, Johnny Cribbage. I wouldn't want Garrett Mitchell hitting leadoff either. I don't really know who the better solution is. Coach Freed texts in on the pitching. Says, what's up, little unit? 6'3", 215 player comp Brian Hudson. I wish I had enough muscle to weigh 215. When is enough, and when do we put Chad Patrick in the pen? I feel his makeup projects a lot better out of the pen like we saw in the playoffs last year. I would agree with you. I think there's an alternate reality. I think there's an alternate universe in which Chad Patrick's already in the pen. I think if Brandon Woodruff was healthy and playing at an even, like, he's fine. He doesn't need to be elite, doesn't need to be prime Brandon Woodruff, but just takes the ball every 5 days and you can count on him to pitch 5 innings, maybe a little bit more. If Brandon Woodruff was pitching that way and Quinn Priester is back and pitching, I think Chad Patrick's already in the pen. But Brandon Woodruff got hurt and Quinn Priester's not ready. He might not be ready for a while. So the Brewers are going to have to replace Woodruff's spot in the rotation, I would assume. Excuse me. And they're not going to be able to use Quinn Priester, which I'm sure would be their number one option considering the season he had last year. They're already replacing Woodruff, and they don't have their number one option, which means if you're replacing Woodruff, then you'd also be replacing Chad Patrick, and Quinn Priester can't be one of those spots. It's a little bit too much upheaval for a rotation that's already really young with Brandon Sproat, Kyle Harrison, and Jacob Mizorowski. I wonder where Logan Henderson fits in this mix. Now, Logan Henderson could just take Brandon Woodruff's spot if he's going to miss a lot of time. But then who takes Chad Patrick's spot, right? I suppose you could give it to Robert Gasser if they like. I suppose you could give it to Coleman Crowe. I suppose you could do worse than Chad Patrick. You could do better. But I think it bears reminding and it bears repeating. You could do worse than Chad Patrick. Last night's a bad example, although really he gave up one big swing. Now, some of those runs were his fault. He's, walking too many guys. I think Chad Patrick's better out of the pen as well, but you're already replacing Woodruff and you already don't have Priester as a replacement option. So you can stick Logan Henderson in for Woodruff, and I think we all feel great about that. If Woodruff's missing time, I feel like he has to. I feel like he should. But then Chad Patrick, you're talking about Coleman Crowe or Gasser, and if it's Priester, that's one thing. That's someone who's stable and who pitched all year and posted every 5 days. I just don't know if they're in a place. We talked about this with Vinny Rottino last week too. I just don't know if they're in a place to replace Chad Patrick in the pen right now. Cody from Cochrane on the Brewers says, the one thing that bugs me is they win a few and then they lose just as many, if not more. Then win a few and, losing streak is right around the corner. That's my take so far with this team. Thanks, Cody from Cochrane. Yeah, what you're describing is a middling or a not so great team. That's how it goes with bad baseball teams, is they win one or two and then they lose a couple more. That's how it works. Yeah. I said this last week when we talked about Brandon Sproat and Kyle Harrison and Jacob Mizrowski, and I think it applies to last night. When the Brewers starting pitchers give them length and give them good outings, they're going to win most of those games. This offense and this bullpen can win games if they're getting 6 solid innings or more from their starter. If not, if you get, a type of performance like Chad Patrick last night, where you go 3 1/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, you're not winning that game. This offense isn't good enough to win the game. The bullpen was actually pretty good last night. DL Hall, by the way, throwing like 97. Huh? Okay. Drowan was really good. He gave up 1 run, but Grant Anderson did his job. I think this bullpen is actually punched above their weight. This offense is just abysmal at times. Just piss poor. Worthless hitters. Renifo's been worthless. Sal Frelick's been more worthless than everybody else. He has been worse relative to his expectations than every other player in the lineup, maybe put together, in my opinion. This lineup is just loaded with worthless hitters. No timely hits last night until the 9th, and now Bryce Strang's going to go 415. Okay, I guess get your garbage time hits, get your garbage time home runs when you can. But that's the state of the Brewers after last night. It's just one game, but the problem is it's like feels like a lot of their games. A little bit more from Pat Murphy on getting some players back, getting the 2 hitters back, but losing a game to the Cardinals. Just kind of a state of the union here from Pat Murphy.
A lot of encouraging things, but they're playing good. They're playing with confidence. We're not quite there yet, but I believe in these guys.
We'll talk with Matt Pauley next hour about the Cardinals. The Cardinals should not be good, but they got a little moxie. They're rebuilding and still playing pretty well. They have confidence. I would say the Brewers have an opposite of confidence, but then again, we got runners on. Who's coming up? Okay, Hamilton and Renifo. All right. I'll go take a dump during this inning. Here's a little bit more from Pat Murphy on Chourio and Vaughn coming back.
There was a lot of good performances today. It was good to see those guys back. I mean, Vaughn had a couple ABs he'd like back, but he certainly wasn't. His timing isn't perfect, but like his last at bat, that's we could have used that and drove in a run with man on third or something. But Terang was great.
Jeff tweets in, the Brewers won't call up Pratt because he's too tall. They are heightist. No one will call them out. Jeff from Fremont. I think it's a perfect place to wrap up the segment. Chuck Freeman going to join us next. Locked On Brewers. We'll start with the Brewers, and then we're going to do an extra segment with Chuck where we talk a little bit about the Packers. Maybe I'll pick his brain on the Bucks too, because they are in an interesting spot. Chuck's covered sports in Wisconsin and talked sports in Milwaukee for a long time, so he can give us some good perspective on that. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, joins the show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, fabulous effort. 5 great at-bats. We just obviously didn't come up with a big hit for them. We battled. We hit some balls hard right at people. They had tremendous timely hitting. We left 12 guys on base. 12 guys on base. Yeah, that's not timely hitting.
Thank you, Pat. You are correct. That is not timely hitting. I'm glad that was explained for us. Infuriating Brewer game to watch last night. Made even worse. I mean, depending on your perspective, I think it made it worse. The fact that Jackson Chourio had 2 doubles, 2 singles, and took a walk. I mean, he was showing off. He's not even a player who takes walks. Although I think the radio broadcast, Lane Grindle and Josh Maurer pointed out last night during the broadcast that that he had been taking some walks in the minor leagues, which is something they noted. So we saw a continuation of that last night. Okay, I think it made it worse, the fact that Jackson Chourio had 4 hits and a walk, and they scored 1 run. I'm saying they scored 1 run last night because the 2 runs, the way that they got to 3 was a 2-run home run in the 9th when it was in garbage time and it felt over. Bill's Viroqua Hills Golf Course, Bill Michaels Open, coming up on Saturday. Not over. In fact, hasn't even started yet. I'm going to the driving range tonight with Kate. We're going to hone in our swing just a little bit. We're getting ready for Saturday. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's one of the events I look forward to most every single year. The course is stunning. I love the Viroqua area. In fact, I got lost south of Viroqua on Sunday, down towards Towerville. There's probably maybe one person listening who's like, "Oh my God!" It's like, yeah, I was in the sticks. I was out for a cruise. I was out for a rip. Excited to be back this weekend. Shout out to the sponsors of Bill's fine event, the Bill Michaels Open. Chuck texted me. Whoops. I told him 12:18 does now work. We can move to. My bad, Chuck. I told him 12:18. The list of sponsors for Bill's Open: Viroqua Tire Shop, Legal Guardian Services, Citizens First Bank, Effinger Sales and Service, Kickapoo Creekside, WCCU Credit Union, Sleepy Hollow, Chevrolet Buick, AJ Family Homes and Property, Schlicht Insurance, The Tree Assassin, Martin Flooring, Cheese Corner, Swenson's Door, River Valley Auto, and Nelson Agri Center. I'm sorry, I told Chuck the wrong time. He'll be with us here in just a moment to talk Brewers. And I love to do a second segment with Chuck. Maybe get his thoughts on the Packers, Jonathan Gannon, and some of the things going on with the Bucs. Last night, offensively, just felt like a continuation of what we've been watching, except Jackson Chourio was there getting hits that didn't matter. The pitching interests me. Drohan's a legit guy. DL Hall feels like he found a little extra velocity last night. The radio broadcast was they were pointing it out. They were whoa. They were reacting to the radar gun quite strongly. And I also wonder if there's a Chad Patrick conversation to be had. I don't think they lost because of Chad Patrick last night. I think they lost because this lineup is absolutely filled with 4 or 5 completely and totally worthless hitters on any given night. That's why I think they lost last night. Chad Patrick giving up a couple of runs in the 4th. I mean, he was done before the 4th inning concluded, and the bullpen came on and did their job. And Aaron Ashby didn't even pitch. Didn't use Uribe. Didn't use Ashby. I would consider at this point Grant Anderson to be one of their leverage arms. But it's not like they emptied the stable last night of all of the best relievers and pitchers. And The Brewers offense just could muster absolutely nothing. Let's see if we can get Chuck Freeman here, get him on the stream. I'm sorry, Chuck. I told you the wrong time. I told you 12:18. I fat-fingered my keyboard. Can you hear me okay? Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but that's a secondary problem for
That's
a
a
radio
great thing.
show.
If you can't see me, that's a good thing because I have not got a workout in and I have not taken a shower yet today. So I'm just sitting here trying to hang out.
That's funny. Well, I'm sorry I told you the wrong time. We could move. I got Matt Pauley coming up next hour, a little eye on the enemy. He can tell us why the Cardinals look so much better than the Brewers, even though they're not supposed to be good this year.
Well, Paulie's got to be loving life these days because his team is probably ahead of expectations. I was thinking that they were in 2028. That's when the Cardinals were going to compete, and here they are. I mean, it still might turn out badly for them, but they're off to an amazing start so far.
They're playing good. They're playing with energy. They're playing with confidence. I mean, that's what we've said of the Brewers in the past under Pat Murphy, and we haven't necessarily expected them to be awesome. What do you think right now is the Brewers' biggest problem? If you were able to distill it down to the most specific thing possible, if somebody asked you, why are the Brewers just kind of hovering uncomfortably above 500? What would you say?
Well, in addition, they were playing some guys who just weren't major leaguers and having confidence and trying to get the most out of those guys and throwing their confidence behind them, but they weren't major leaguers. Greg Jones, who's been DFA'd, Matos, throwing guys out there. Ortiz is not hitting at a major league level. The left side of the infield is not getting it done. Sal Frelick is not getting it done in right field offensively, right? Until recently, he's hit a couple of home runs. So you start there. And I don't like using injuries as an excuse, but it is what it is. Chourio and Vaughn. We'll see what we're going to get with Vaughn if he's able to build on what he did last year and not having Yelich. So there's some excuses there, but there's also some guys in this team not picking up how they should. Thank goodness for the Sanchez's of the world who've been able to, at least provide some pop. You can't be hitting 30th or 31st, or 30th or 29th in the league in home runs. Eventually, that's going to catch up with you, Grant. I just don't think you can consistently win that way.
I was not a Sal Frelick fan until last year because I saw it last year. It's like, okay, well, you don't need to hit a ton of home runs. You don't need to drive the ball. But if you're hitting around 300 and you're always on base and you're taking walks and you're okay, well, like that player has a role in any offense. You're not going to be the number one hitter, but someone needs to set the table and be active around your big bats. I think Sal Frelick has maybe been the most disappointing Brewer for me so far this season. I just expect so much more. I don't expect much more from a lot of these other guys. I expect more from Sal Frelick, and he's, to me, completely indistinguishable from a bunch of these other guys who were barely even major leaguers.
He's 5'8", maybe.
Yeah, correct.
And we're asking a lot out of a guy who's 5'8", and I'm not discriminating against height here, but he's not a big physical specimen out there. Now, he is a hard overachiever. He is going to give you Gold Glove defense out in right field. I wonder how limited he is. I wonder what the ceiling is offensively. Is this it? Can he get any better? He had 288 last year. So I get that. But is there another level he can take his game? Maybe we've seen him for a few years now. Maybe this is as good as it gets. You like to get power out of your corner spots. You're going to get it out of Chourio in left field when he's healthy, but you just don't get it out of Frelick. Hit 12 home runs last year. You'd like even more out of that, but he's just not going to give you that pop in right field. You're going to have to live with that as long as he hits a little better. You can't have your right fielder hit 2 home runs and bat 198. That's just not going to fly on a championship level team. So I get your point on that.
When your listeners of the Locked On Brewers podcast and commenters, I'm sure you're asked all the time, why haven't they called up Pratt or Jet Williams to play third base or shortstop? What do you tell them?
Well, they're just not ready yet. I don't think Pratt is quite ready yet. He's hitting a little better, off to a slow start. Ortiz gives you such amazing defense. Now, I talked about Frelick's defense out in right field. He is so good and saves you so much at shortstop. If Ortiz does not bring that at shortstop, he's not even in Major League Baseball.
No.
But he is so good. He is such a plus defender. You hate to say you can live with the 200 batting average at shortstop, but you're kind of going old school there where your shortstop's not hitting, but he's giving you amazing defense. But when you don't have those other guys hitting, your third baseman can't hit, and your right fielder's not hitting, there's some problems. I don't know. I feel like they're going to give Ortiz at least until the beginning of June on that. I think there might be a little rope until the beginning of June. And then we'll find out, is he nothing better than a platoon player, an Andrew Monasterio, a defensive replacement, a Perkins, where you just bring him in that way, and that's how you play him.
I mean, I would live with 200. He's hitting 180. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a big difference, Chuck, and it's hilarious because if you didn't know baseball or you weren't familiar with the dynamics of the Brewers, you'd laugh at this. But there's a big difference between 180 and 210. Both suck, but 180 sucks to a degree where it's like we can't, like, you might as well go up there without a bat. 210, if you can make contact or take a walk, if you're the 9-hitter and play awesome defense, you can live with that. 180, it's like you're not even, you're an NPC, you're not a real player up there.
Yeah, and Grant, this may be who he is too. To ask him to hit 270 and 280 and hit 100 points higher, or even 70 points higher, this might just be where he's at, and that it's just not going together. We've seen a big enough sample size with him that he's just going to be a 180, 200, 210 type of hitter. But still, even if he was hitting 30 points better than 180, we still wouldn't be happy about that.
No.
Unless he's got 15 home runs at this point.
No, you are correct. So I want to ask you, if you can do 2 segments, I'd love to talk Packers for a couple minutes with you here after the hour. And again, sorry, I gave you the wrong time. One more thing on the Brewers. So Ms. Harrison, Sproat, Woodruff, and Patrick has been their rotation, right?
Yes.
Now, Woodruff is going to be hurt. I just assume he's going to miss a certain amount of time. So that's a spot in the rotation they would then have to fill. How would you go about filling that? And another thing that I'm sure the listeners of this show are bringing up and that are bringing up with you, would you make a change in Patrick's spot as well? So talk about the Woodruff spot that's open and then what you're getting from Chad Patrick.
Did you mention Henderson when you named those 5 players? Henderson
But
goes in.
Yeah, I feel like he's at the point now where it's like you just have to make room for that guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the last couple of years. I feel like Grant, he's come up and pitched 6 innings, a 3-hit ball, and then he gets sent down the next day, and then you don't hear from him. But I think he'll come back. I think he sticks. I think he pitches this weekend against the Yankees.
Okay, so you think Henderson takes Woodruff's spot?
I do. I think he pitches this weekend. Let's pause on Priester, because Priester, I don't know when that's coming back. And the Brewers can say, well, he's close and all that. He's obviously taken a step backwards because he's not rehabbing. He's on the injured list. He's did his 3 rehab starts. He was not very good. So there's another rotation. Thankfully, the Brewers are in a great spot where they have other valuable spots, other pitchers who could fill those spots. I think Chad Patrick, even though it looked like Murphy was disgusted in his performance last night, I think they like Patrick a lot, and I think he's going to get his fused. I wanted Patrick to be working out of the bullpen this year. Brewers had other ideas. I feel like he's in the rotation for a little while longer.
Well, I think if Woodruff and Priester were both healthy and playing well, they may have moved him there. You know what I mean? That may have been the first domino to fall, except now Woodruff is hurt and Priester's not available. And it's like, well, can you really afford to make adjustments at 2 spots of the rotation? And Freems, who knows, like 30 days from now, maybe Brandon Sproat needs to go down. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's not out of the question. And now you're talking about turnover at 3 of the 5 spots. I just don't know if you can afford to get cute and move Patrick, who hasn't been great, but that's kind of a known commodity. And he's not awful, right? It's not a shock if he goes out and throws 5 or 6 innings.
Sure. And Sproat, this is a big start for him tonight. He's not pitched well in his last 2 outings. And he does. The question with Sproat is Sproat a long guy out of the bullpen or a starter? Well, we haven't determined that yet, but he's been starting. We'll see. He may be a guy too. If he doesn't pitch well tonight, maybe they send him down.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's more likely. They send him down and keep him stretched out at AAA to work on some stuff, because I don't know. I think Patrick plays really well out of the bullpen. It's clear Drowan does. I don't know how many starters can you put in the pen, Chuck? You know what I mean? Like Ashby and DL Hall are almost kind of that tweener type already. Sure. They're just going to have a bullpen full of starting pitchers.
Well, yeah, and people said, well, why doesn't Logan Henderson stay on this roster as just a long man? Well, you got other guys, and plus they vision Logan Henderson. If he's not going to start, he's going to make regular starts down in Nashville, the AAA.
Yeah. And look, if Sproat ends up going down or Woodruff, I just think there'll be opportunities this year for these guys. You can't just put you can't just have a a bullpen full of starters. I just don't know that that's the way that you can build out your staff. Chuck, if we could take a break, apologies to do this to you because I told you the wrong time. Come back and talk Packers for a couple minutes. I'd enjoy it.
It's my normal time anyway.
Okay. Perfect. Chuck Freeman. We'll be right back. We'll talk Packers, and maybe I'll hit him with a Bucks question or two. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Why is it so important for Madison customers to deal with a licensed, regulated, direct lender?
A lot of lenders may look legit, but they are not, especially online. Borrowers need to be careful to deal with lenders who are licensed and regulated by the state of Wisconsin, who really lend their own money and aren't just lead generators.
And Dollar Loan Center is a direct lender?
Yeah, we've been around 28 years, Wisconsin licensed, and I actually lend my own money. We are extremely transparent, fair, and always guarantee to beat the rate of our competition. And our customers' Bill of Rights is in writing at don'tbebroke.com, and we never charge to apply.
Dollar Loan Center loves Madison and lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by Beloit or Madison now, or soon in Janesville and Beaver Dam. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and mainly with the Tyrod Taylor, I'm just happy for people like Chuck Freeman that have been pushing the Packers to sign a veteran backup for 10 plus years. So it's just good to see that, finally happen. I'm excited for Chuck. I'm sure he's out on the golf course, busting around Lamira, whatever he's up to. But, I'm sure he's smiling tonight.
That is from my show last night, one of our regular callers, Cone Roller. Maybe you've seen that Twitter account lurking around. A day one WSSP listener back in the day, as I was, and I got to admit, Chuck Freeman joining us. Chuck, my first thought yesterday when the Packers made this edition, I thought of you because I became a sports radio lover listening to you doing mornings in Milwaukee, and I feel like every summer you would implore the Packers, just go sign a veteran backup. So you have to be happy with this news of Tyrod Taylor joining the Packers, I would imagine.
Well, that's funny because when that news came, I thought of me too. And I never think of me. Don't ask anybody else about that, but I never think of me. But I thought about me when Tyrod Taylor became a Green Bay Packer. And yes, guys, Pine Roller, Grant, I love it, man. I love the fact the Cone Roller, whatever he is.
Yeah, you got a cone roller. That made me laugh.
Cone roller anyway. What is a cone roller?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure.
I hope it's nothing derogatory we're saying here.
I don't.
But yeah, I was happy because I wanted this, because how many times do the Packers get into a game and the quarterback somehow goes down and we're looking at a guy who can't get out of his own way because he's got no NFL experience.
Yeah.
And now you bring in a veteran, and I like Malik. I thought he was phenomenal. But this guy, Tyrod Taylor, I like him. He's he's been in a few different spots, and he can come in, and if something happens, and can get the job done. I think Taylor could be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Now, I think in a vacuum, this is a good move. But I'm also thinking about this move in the context of the rest of this offseason. It seems to me, Chuck, that Gutekunst has maybe made a little bit of an effort to tuck some older players here and there. Zaire Franklin a little older, Javon Hargrave a little older, Tyrod Taylor a little older. It just seems like maybe the last couple of years, being young is great. You're cheaper. You're supposed to be healthier. That wasn't the case last year. I just wonder if the Packers brain trust this offseason thought, you know what, I think we need a little experience to better hold our water in big moments, in the 2-minute, the red zone, with a late lead in the fourth quarter. I don't think that Tyrod Taylor was brought in specifically with that in mind, but I do think it's part of a larger theme maybe this offseason.
Yeah, you can always brag about having the youngest team in the NFL, and you always want to get younger in the NFL, and I get it. It's a young man's game, but still you got to have some veterans on the team. You got to have some guys who've been in big moments, who've been in big matchups and all that. I feel like the Packers have been missing that in the last several years. And I like the fact I like them playing in free agency. Sure, the draft is important, but I feel like you also have to fortify your team through making key free agent pickups. And I feel like that's what the Packers need to do. And, you got to have a couple, even have a guy like Tyrod Taylor there. Again, a guy who's been in a few big moments in his life, and good for the locker room as well.
Hopefully can maybe, help Jordan Love round out his game. It's just little things, like Tyrod Taylor's not going to help Jordan Love throw the ball better, but Tyrod Taylor can point out, hey, 8 years ago in a game, this is something that just these little things, because I think that's what this team is missing. I don't think that the talent of the Packers is that far behind even the Rams or the Seahawks. Like, I think if the Packers play their best game, they're not maybe as stacked as those teams, but they can win a 60-minute contest against those teams, even if they're not favored. I think it's the DNA, it's the personality. Can you sack up in a big moment and pick up a first down or get off the field or not miss a block at the worst? Like, that's been their issue for me. I don't know that the talent has been the issue. The injuries hurt last year, but even when they were fully healthy, they were still missing that little thing.
The one thing about it is this conference is so wide open. I don't think Seattle by any means is a great team, Grant. I don't. I feel like the conference is wide open. That's where I think the Packers have a shot of, ultimately getting to the Super Bowl. That's what we're shooting for, right? I feel that they have a shot at it. Do they have a great shot at it? Well, that remains to be seen. Remember, they finished their season by losing 5 in a row last year, and that terrible loss to the Bears. But they're going to be in the mix. They're a good team. They got to get. I think it's going to be a big year. Could be for Golden at wide receiver, without question. But obviously, you got to stay healthy. That's always a problem every year. You got to stay healthy. But I feel like there's not many teams where I look at in the NFC and say, "Man, that's an awesome team." Yeah, I mean, before the season started, did you really think? Did you look at Seattle and say, "Oh boy, no one's going to beat them"?
No, last year I thought of Seattle for long stretches of the season. I think like lots of people did, where it's like, yeah, they're really talented, but are you really buying Sam Darnold, Mike McDaniel? You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of those teams where it's like, well, they have the talent. It's like, yeah, but do I really buy them?
Well,
and kudos to them. They stayed healthy, I think, which was a huge part of it too. And they won one really close regular season game against the Rams, which means the NFC Championship was in Seattle and not LA. I think that those are the margins you have to play or play within and win in the NFL.
Yeah, the Packers got to find a way to win some playoff games, right? And which they do. Can they still win this division? Absolutely, they still can. I don't look at the Chicago Bears or even the Detroit Lions or anybody else in this division. No, the Packers are going to be right there in the mix. But it's going to help. It's going to help greatly if some of these younger players take another level up in their game, and that starts with Jordan Love. He's got to take his game. We have to see if there's another level that guy can get to.
I think you probably see this on Twitter. I think of Bukowski or Andy, these guys who go so deep in the Packers. And every week they'll tell you, well, look at the numbers, the efficiency, the DVOA. And I think the big picture numbers on this offense are tremendous. A lot of them are top 5, top 3, and a lot of those stats are Jordan Love stats too. What they're lacking, and when we talk about Jordan Love going to the next level, it's not throwing for 10 more touchdowns or throwing for 2 or 3 fewer interceptions, although that stuff's always good. It's all right. You're playing the Cowboys or whoever. It's 3:15 on a Sunday. It's the fourth quarter. You're up 4 and you have the ball with 5 minutes left with a chance to go win it. It's in those moments. It's not necessarily season-wide statistics or big counting numbers. It's just in these 4 or 5 moments throughout the season that make the difference in wins and losses, which makes the difference between 9 wins and 12, which means you're on the road. Like that's where I think Jordan Love needs to take a next step. It's not even a huge next step that I think would even be that noticeable in the big picture stats.
Sure. Delivering in big moments.
Yeah.
You have to do that. I've always liked their wide receiver core they had the last couple of years. I have. I think their wide receiver core has been really good. Now, there's some of that has gone this year, but that opens the door for a Matthew Golden to take his game, I think, to an extra level. Got to get
productive. Yeah, that was the word too. I don't know that he needs to catch, a million touchdowns. He doesn't need to be their top guy, but can he, fill the role that Romeo Doubs did? Every week you can be counted on to produce a certain number of yards and to help the offense move up and down the field.
I think they're going to miss Doubs, but they got Golden.
But they will if Golden is who he was last year, and I don't think that was all his fault. He was banged up a little, and the ball just didn't find him. But if Golden doesn't take a step, they're going to miss Doubs big time.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure. Do I think he was overpaid in the free agent market? Yeah.
Sure.
But who isn't? That's the way it is in free agency in all sports. You're always overpaid.
I don't think Jaden Reed was overpaid. I like that contract a lot.
Oh, I do. Oh, that's a good one. You're right. I
free agent, he didn't hit the market, to your point.
Yeah. I just I think the Packers, got to make a better commitment to the run. Make sure that running game is there. You have to lean on that run, as we say every year. But Jordan Love has got to play better. He's got to take that. There's got to be an extra level where he can. This is my team. This is my team. And I don't feel like we felt that quite with Jordan Love just yet. Grant, where he has said, this is my team. Yeah, I'm going to take this team deep into the playoffs. I'm going to put this team on my back. I want to see those type of leadership skills out there. I don't think we've seen that out of him yet. And I think they're there with him. I don't know if I don't know if it's a Matt LaFleur thing or a him thing, but I think they're there.
Grabbing the reins in big moments in the 2-minute, conducting the offense, running the show. And I don't need to see him yell at teammates or that stuff. It's just like, looks a little nonchalant in the 2-minute or in the red. I think that's the next step for him. Chuck Freeman is here. Just 2 more minutes real quick. So the Bucs are going to introduce Taylor Jenkins tomorrow. Mm-hmm. If you ran the franchise, how would you handle this offseason? What would you do?
Boy, it would be really hard to trade Giannis, but you have to look at it on the other side. I'm prepared, Grant, for the Bucs to go back where they were in 2015 and 2014. I'm prepared to go down that road. Okay. That they are not going to be competing for world championships here in the next couple of years. And maybe it starts with whether you trade Giannis. Now, if you trade Giannis, what are you going to get back? Now, Giannis, if he gets traded to the Knicks or wherever he wants to get traded to, well, we want some of if I'm a GM, well, Giannis, you want to get traded to the Knicks, but I want some of those guys that you think you're going to play with over there. I want them on our team. Yeah. So we're not just trading you for a couple of draft picks.
Yeah.
All right. So if I'm trading Giannis, I'm getting a haul back for that guy.
Yeah.
Even though he might be on the other side of his career and there's injuries, you have to stack up. But I feel like the Bucs have done this. That's the reason why he's still with the Bucs. I think the Bucs are holding out for a load back for him. And I would too.
Yeah. I wonder internally if the Bucs aren't ready. You know what I mean? I wonder if they aren't ready to conclude this Giannis chat. This last season, if I ran the Bucs, I would have been so annoyed because you get Giannis to come back for the year. You get him to say, all right, it was clear that he was looking elsewhere and there was maybe the possibility of a trade. And then at some point the Bucs felt, all right, Giannis is committed for the season. And then all year he had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That would have annoyed the hell out of me if I was in charge of the team. It's like, Giannis, you agreed to come back, man. Mm-hmm. Don't wax and wane the entire season. It basically had the season dead on arrival.
But agreed to come back. He's under contract. He's got to come back.
True. Yeah.
Where does he have the power all of a sudden? And, for him to come out at the end of the season and say, well, I probably should have put some of these fires out. Come on. He knew that. And the whole time, his agent was the one who was saying, his agent has got to play the bad guy in this if he wants to leave. It can't be Giannis. Either way, if he gets traded, just like with Rodgers and just like with Favre, Giannis is going to be the bad guy for a while. And then he's going to eventually come back when his jersey gets retired, and it's going to be all good again. I can see the same scenario taking place with Giannis as I did 2 other icons in the state, Rodgers and Favre.
I think he's really afraid to be that guy, which probably plays a role in how the last year or two has gone. And I understand that. Helps when you win a title for a team like the Bucs. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get a lot of leeway in a way that even Rodgers and Favre didn't. Because the Packers won titles before, especially with Rodgers. I know I always see you tweeting out links for your content at Locked On Brewers. Where can people find your content?
Oh, Grant, they get it at Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. Of course, YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell that alerts you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. And all the content is free, just like your show, unless you're charging these days, Grant.
No. Maybe I should, though. Maybe I should start. I'd have more beer money and gas money. Good God. Chuck, I'm sorry. My producer role, I did a bad job. I told you the wrong time. So thank you for turning around and joining us.
All good. Great talking other sports with you too, my friend.
It's always fun. Chuck Freeman, appreciate it. Have a good one.
See ya.
Chuck is happier than anybody. The veteran quarter. I'm glad that he was happy. He's always been veteran backup guy. So I'm glad the Packers were able to do that for Chuck. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, just a couple minutes here. We'll wrap up the second hour of the Bill Michaels Show. Appreciate Chuck Freeman, his time. I feel bad I told him the wrong time, so he was probably scrambling to join. But two great segments. Talked a little Brewers. That's his forte. That's what he normally joins to discuss every Tuesday. He does the Locked On Brewers podcast. But Chuck's done sports talk forever. He just had an outstanding morning show in Milwaukee, whether he did it with Wicked or Winkler. Like, I used to listen to that station. Bill did the middays. That station ruled. And I think I thought of Chuck yesterday, and I think a lot of old SSP listeners did too, when they heard Chuck and they heard veteran quarterback. So I'm glad that Chuck took a little victory lap on that as well. We're going to take a break. We'll get 2 minutes from Zach Heilprin, the latest. We'll get the headlines in Wisconsin sports. Matt Pauley from KMOX going to join us to talk Brewers Cardinals at the bottom of this next hour at 12:35. We do a Packers reset to begin, maybe hit a couple of those Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur talking points to begin this hour. And at some point, we're going to hear from Achord, probably in the last hour of the show. But we might dip into that because he was introduced yesterday, as was Jonathan Gannon. And based on what I saw and read from some of the Packers reporters who were there, a little bit more personality and a whole lot of coach speak in that presser compared to Jonathan Gannon. So that's coming up before the end of the show as well. Maybe next, but probably in the final hours. Probably more of a detailed preview than you need, but that's fine. Hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. But first, we're going to get a 2-minute update from Zach Heil from the latest in Wisconsin sports. Don't go anywhere.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers and Cardinals will resume their series tonight in St. Louis. The Cardinals took game 1 last night despite the return of Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn to the lineup for the Crew. Chourio actually went 4 for 4, but Milwaukee was just 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Tonight, the Crew will send Brandon Sproat to the mound. He's 0-2 with a 6.75 ERA. Cardinals counter with Andre Palante. He comes in 3-2 with a 3.73 ERA. First pitch is at 6:45. Turning to the Packers, defense coordinator Jonathan Gannon met the media for the first time yesterday since being hired a few months ago. He was asked why he took the job in Green Bay after being fired as the head coach of the Cardinals following a 3-14 season last year.
You know, being in the NFL for however many years, you just see the stability of this place, and that kind of catches your eye in a league that's so much turnover. It's obviously an iconic franchise, the Green Bay Packers. When you're a little kid, you learn about the Green Bay Packers no matter where you are in the country, I think. And then obviously Matt.
Meanwhile, Packers have signed Tyrod Taylor to serve as the backup to Jordan Love. Green Bay will be Taylor's 8th NFL team since coming into the league in 2011. Spent the last 2 years as the backup quarterback with the Jets.
Truck drivers, maximize your miles and earn top pay as a team driver at Schneider. Schneider just raised its pay for team drivers and has the freight to keep you moving. More business with small package parcel shippers creates new opportunities with DC to DC drop and hook freight. The advantages don't stop there. Schneider's teams also enjoy the newest trucks with factory installed power inverters and outlets, refrigerators, and memory foam mattresses. Join now and sign-on bonuses of up to $16,000 per team may be available. Find your team driving job at SchneiderJobs.com.
The Bucs can introduce their new head coach, Taylor Jenkins, tomorrow at a press conference. Jenkins was officially named as Doc Rivers' replacement late last week. Comes to Milwaukee after nearly 6 seasons leading the Memphis Grizzlies before being fired and out of basketball this past season. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Pritt.
Coach LaForce talked about this, pulling back, going back to the beginning, stripping it down to just honing in on the details of the offense and things like that. So that's kind of what we're focused on in these next few weeks, is just really hammering those fundamentals in everything that we're doing and making sure we can be the best that we're going to be.
Adam Stenavich talking about going back to page 1 of the offense. Matt LaFleur's talked about that. Adam Stenavich discussed yesterday. He spoke. Cam, I believe it's Achord, the new Packers special teams coordinator, spoke. We have yet to hear anything from him. We heard from Jonathan Gannon in the first hour. You can go back to the podcast, the live stream, find that if you missed it. We can do a couple Packers talking points here to follow up on some things that we discussed with Chuck Freeman last hour. Matt Pauley will be here 12:35 to talk Brewers Cardinals. He's former Brewers broadcaster now with KMOX down in St. Louis. Something that Chuck and I were talking about, I heard Chuck say, well, and we need Jordan Love to take the next step, this season. When we're talking about ways in which the Packers need to get better and the buttons that are going to have to be pushed and the levers are going to have to be pulled for this team to win playoff games, as Chuck said. You got to find a way to win some freaking playoff games. And Jordan Love taking the next step is a big part of that. And we say that a lot. It's said a lot on this show. And Jordan Love's going to have to take the next step. Bill talks about this a lot. We have callers who bring this up a lot. Jordan Love's going to have to take the next step. And I just want to very clearly articulate what I think that means. What I think it means for Jordan Love to take the next step. I think it has very little to do with the statistics. Because if you look at the stats, and stats is such a broad term, what I mean is if you look at, touchdown, interception, yards, passer rating, quarterback specific stats, or if you look at the big picture offensive stats, and these are bandied about, Monday through Friday. I always say on my show, once we get to the portion of the week where it's just stats and graphs, graphs and stats and spreadsheets and graphs and stats and line graphs and bar graphs and spreadsheets and graphs and stats. You're just throwing around like, oh, look at this plot of all these points. And Jordan Love is way up here in the upper right-hand corner. And the Packers offense is top 5 in this and top 3 in that. The big picture numbers, the efficiency, if you take the whole season or you take a month-long stretch of games or even a singular game and you look at the offseason or the offensive efficiency, it looks great. The product as a whole looks great. The whole picture looks great. But the thing is the whole picture doesn't win you the division or it doesn't win playoff games, as evidenced by the last 2 years. This last year especially, Jordan Love was great. He was an MVP candidate until he got hurt down the stretch. The Packers won 9 games, and they blew a lead in the playoffs. And that's not because their offense as a whole wasn't good enough. It's not, in my opinion, because they weren't talented enough. And it's not, in my opinion, because Jordan Love wasn't a good enough quarterback, again, statistically, big picture-wise, efficiency, DVOA, EPA, all of these things. What I think it means for Jordan Love to take the next step and what the Packers will need from him and from the offense as a whole, but it starts at the quarterback, in moments. 3 or 4 plays a game where he's got to grab the reins. It's 2 minutes left, you get the ball going into halftime, and you're up 4, or you're in a tie game. Can you go buy an extra field goal? Can you go buy a touchdown? Can you execute in the 2-minute? Can you pick up a crucial 3rd down? Can you score from the 3-yard line instead of settling for a field goal? Those types of things. And the success or failure in that small little sample isn't necessarily going to impact the big picture efficiency, the EPA, the DVOA, where the Packers fall on a graph or on a spreadsheet. That's a very little thing. You know, the example I always use, I think this is the perfect example to describe what separates a very good quarterback and a very good offense from a quarterback and an offense that can actually win playoff games and win a Super Bowl. It's the 4th quarter. The Packers are up 4 or up 3 or up 5 or whatever. There's 4 minutes left and the defense forces a punt. The Packers have the ball on the 35-yard line, up 4. You drive and you get points, you win the game. More specifically, let's say you're up 6. You go get a field goal, you win the game. You're up 4, you go get a touchdown, you win the game. That type of moment. There were 2 or 3 of those moments in the playoff game against San Francisco a couple years ago. The Packers got the ball to begin the second half of the Bears game in the playoffs 2 or 3 or 4 times with a chance to go slam the door, and they didn't do it. Now, you look at the big picture stats of that game. Jordan Love threw for 1,000,000 yards. I think he threw for 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Correct. But you zoom in to a couple of the key turning points in the game, and every NFL game has 2 or 3 of these. How do you behave in that spot and in that moment? And it felt like last season, for sometimes Jordan Love reasoning, other times it was Rasheed Walker dumping his pants. Other time it was Matt LaFleur maybe not having the perfect call. Just the offense, but the offense led by the quarterback. It starts with him. In those specific moments every game, can you be next level and can you grab the game by the horns? And in many instances, they were not able to do that, which is why an offense that scores 1,000,000 points, the efficiency looks great, the EPA per play looks great, all of those numbers look great, but then you zoom in, it's like, okay, well, why do you only win 9 games? Why'd you blow a lead in the playoffs? Is because EPA and efficiency doesn't win football games. It's the 2 or 3 turning points, maybe to end the first half and trending, to begin the second half and maybe 4 minutes left in the 4th quarter, those types of moments. And the Packers just kind of peter out offensively in those moments. All right, your phone calls, 608-321-1670. There's a couple of you I can get to here. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Who's this?
Hey, how you doing? Dwayne and Oshkosh.
I'm doing great, Dwayne. How are you today?
Well, I'm listening to you and Chuck go down the road and all that. By the way, Chuck was even better when he was in the Valley before he went to the big city, Milwaukee.
Yeah,
that's why I
before
first
they tainted
linked
him.
up with him. Yeah, he was with a guy named Huffy, and they were just getting going and learning things, and they were awesome together.
I just miss Chuck on the radio, but his podcast is great, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's how corporate works, right? I mean, Chuck can sit down and talk like the common man or woman, and there's just not a lot of that out there anymore. Bill is like that. You're like that. You're starting to learn it a little bit, that kind of thing. So three items, just real quick. Number one, what the Brewer fans are going through the rose-colored glasses are forgetting is when the season started, we were trying to replace 17 wins from our starting pitching staff. Freddie. Also, Priester's gone. That's another 13 wins. We're trying to replace 30 wins from the get-go with a bunch of kids that have never seen the show. Then you got your bulwark, and I disagree with what you've said in the past because Woody is a key to this pitching staff because he's one of the guys that understands that pitching innings and not going out with 75 pitches in 4 innings is huge. And we just don't have that. We don't have what I call the extended life in our rotation. I mean, the kid, yes, what's his name? Henderson? At one time, I looked and I thought, oh my gosh, he's only thrown 46 pitches and we're already in the 4th or 5th inning. That's what's missing. These kids burn out so early. And eventually, your bullpen is just fried because there's nothing left to give because there's so many short starts going on. I agree with you about Chad Patrick. There's a lot of talent there. There's no doubt about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be pitching. But he reminds me of Burns so much, where Burns would have these 74 pitches in 3.5 innings. It just
reminds me of Freddie. I was thinking last night, it's like the difference between Freddie Peralta and Chad Patrick is not, the gulf is not as big as you'd think, or it doesn't feel that way watching and listening to games.
No, and the difference is fastball. Freddie had the fastball. The thing I see with the young arms is they don't have the execution pitch. This is the pitch I'm throwing to you. You're done.
Swing
You're
and
either
miss.
going to hit it weakly on the ground.
Put you away type of pitch, yeah.
Yeah, the pitch, and that's key in baseball. And again, now here's a question I have for you because reports that Ortiz was sent to AAA. Well, no, he wasn't because he's in the dugout last night.
No, I think I saw some things going around. I hate to do this, Dwayne. Call back later this week. We got loaded phone lines, and I just want to get to 2 other people here. So there were some tweets going around yesterday where people were like, I can't wait to see this transaction, and it was Ortiz for Pratt. And I think a lot of people saw that and thought it was happening. That was not. The confirmed was Chourio and Vaughn. I think a lot of people saw hopeful posts yesterday about Pratt and Ortiz. It was just that. It was hopeful. So I know that got sent to the text line a couple different places. That wasn't a transaction that happened. That was something that people were posting and kind of wishful thinking. All right, this call and one more. Sorry, Dwayne, we just got loaded phone lines, and I just want to get to everyone here, especially because I feel like we're going to have some Packers takes as well. Line number 2, Bill Michaels Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. It's Todd Green Bay.
Hey, Todd. Todd?
Yes, Todd.
Todd. All right. What's going on, Todd?
Yeah, Friday when Matt LaFleur had his press conference, I wasn't surprised, but it was kind of disturbing. He didn't have command. You were kind of making fun of it. It was a okay day, nothing happened. But I asked him about the kicker, what we're going to do to train a new kicker, and he really didn't even know. Okay, didn't even have. He said, good question. And it comes back to, Jordan Love. I don't think he's peaked yet. I think in 2, 3, 4 years he'll probably be peaking. But what it comes down to, and I call out Green Bay and Milwaukee sports radio hosts, they always come back with stats at you. And stats don't win the game. If you watch the game, it comes down to 3, 4, 5 plays, like you just said. And I've been saying that for years, but you call and talk radio and you make a point and they come back with, he was 21 of 33 and 170. Well, that doesn't say nothing. That doesn't prove what happened in the game, okay? Yep. But like in Cleveland, I talked about this last year. Matt LaFleur is doing 5-man lines. He knows Jordan Love's under pressure. And he's getting sacked. He doesn't even have time to throw it. Oh, it's Jordan Love's fault. He's not good under pressure. So bottom line, I don't think Matt LaFleur is taking the offseason seriously. He hasn't in the last couple of years. I wish he would change. I'm a big Packer fan. I hope the best for this season. But this offensive coordinator and Matt LaFleur, they just don't seem to analyze themselves. They're not able to manage themselves and make the team better. And putting all the pressure on Jordan Love is not the answer. The pressure really is on Matt LaFleur and this offensive coaching to put protection packages and good formations and rollouts and bootlegs and good play calling to make Jordan Love look better than he already does, because his stats are phenomenal. It's not a Jordan Love pressure thing. It's a Matt LaFleur game calling management problem in Green Bay, and I hope he fixes it this year, but it just hasn't happened the last 3 years, and I don't think it's going to happen this year after his press conference on Friday.
It does feel like a lot of the same. Todd, I appreciate the call. And you're right about the protection. I think the organization let Jordan Love down last season a little bit in the way they handled the O-line. Part of it was injuries. There's nothing you can do. Zach Tom's hurt. There's not another Zach Tom on the roster, right? But I think they reached the limit organizationally of how many guys they can cross-train and rotate and move around. I just think that added a lot of messiness to the O-line. Losing Jenkins, losing Tom. The injuries, sure, yeah. I think there were times where the communication, the coaching along that O-line wasn't up to snuff, and it caused some gaffes in major moments. Absolutely. But Todd, I agree with you. We're barking up the exact same tree. When you say, well, Jordan Love needs to take the next step, and people will say, well, look at his EPA per play. It's top of the league, or the stats. It's like, yes. So that stuff gets you in the game. Throwing for 3 or 4 touchdowns and no interceptions gets you in the game. Having a really efficient offense that's near the top in, whatever stat you want to pick, that gets you in the game. That makes you competitive. To win the game, you need to look at 2-minute, 3rd down, 4th down, 4th quarter, game on the line. You have an opportunity to go win it. How does the offense and most importantly, the quarterback perform in those situations? That's where the Packers have really lacked. Coach quarterback, clearly a huge part of that. Now the O-line and the receivers making catches, that's really important too. But I think, and I'm with a lot of Packers fans on this, would love to see Jordan Love just feel a little bit more locked in and in command in those spots. He doesn't feel frazzled. He just kind of feels like he's just out there. I just would like a little bit more there. Let's take another call here. 608-321-1670. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Who says?
Mississippi Drew.
Hey, Mississippi Drew. Nice to see you, by the way, on Friday night. Thanks for coming out to Alpine. It was a fun time.
You as well. You guys are really, really good. May I say that?
Well, I appreciate that. It was a good time. What's going on?
So you touched on it just a tiny, just a tiny bit just now, but I think the emphasis should be on just the tiny touch you had. And that's, I think it's just his leadership and holding guys accountable. You said, to me, the impression, and I should have done some research before this call, so I had a few things to reference, but to me, he's making those throws in big pressure situations, and he is having those throws dropped. I really want to see how this season goes with some of these new guys. I think Golden has every opportunity to be a big play type of guy, and Kraft for sure is. And so having him healthy and stay healthy is key. But I don't see him, I wish he would think to himself, I'm playing at an elite level. I have the right to demand more from my teammates.
Sure.
I am the leader of this group. I can hold people accountable, because I don't think he believes that from himself. I think he's more like the type of guy who's like, well, I'll take care of my business. They take care of their business.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And he needs to get in guys' faces sometimes. It's just got to happen. But yeah, so that's my humble take on that.
Well, Mississippi Drew, I appreciate the call. I think like Jordan Love, you can demand a little bit more of yourself. That's not your humble opinion. I think that's a good one. And I think a lot of Packers fans in one way or another agree with that. I don't need to see Jordan Love marching up and down the sideline, chewing guys out. That I don't need that. Because I think there have been plenty of elite quarterbacks over the years who don't operate that way. What I want to see is all right, I'm watching you in the 2-minute or in the 4th quarter or the 4 or the 5-minute or whatever, because I know Matt LaFleur draws a line of delineation there. Just a little bit more locked in, direct, charged up. That's what I want to see. You recognize the intensity of the moment and just get a little something, just get a little juice. I don't need him headbutting teammates on the sideline when they don't make a catch or chewing guys out in the huddle. I just need to watch him in those big crucial stretches and feel like he's He's got it dialed. He's got it locked. And I don't always feel that. And I think most Packers fans, in one way or another, have a take that at least follows those lines. I think we all have a Jordan Love intensity, aggression type take that we have to varying degrees, and it presents differently for different folks. But I think we all believe that of Jordan Love on one level or another. Let's take a break. We'll stick with the Packers for another 10 minutes, and then Matt Pauley, KMOX, is going to be here to talk Brewers Cardinals at the bottom of the hour.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Truck drivers, maximize your miles and earn top pay as a team driver at Schneider. Schneider just raised its pay for team drivers and has the freight to keep you moving. More business with small package parcel shippers creates new opportunities. Also enjoy the newest trucks with factory-installed power inverters and outlets, refrigerators, and memory foam mattresses. Join now and sign-on bonuses of up to $16,000 per team may be available. Find your team driving job at SchneiderJobs.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Jordan Love, I don't even know what he has. And I like Jordan Love. I don't think he's the problem. But my God, can I see some emotion?
Yeah, we take these calls all the time.
I mean, can I get something out of him?
Yeah.
Can I see him talk to his teammates? Does he ever talk to anyone on the sidelines?
No, LaFleur goes to his iPad. Jordan Love goes to the bench.
It's like
we get a lot of calls on it.
Good grief, you should.
It's like a lot of aesthetic stuff, which I thought for a long time didn't matter. Guys, who cares? He's on the iPad. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Jordan Love is quiet. It doesn't matter. But then the more I watch these losses, like maybe it does.
Well, these are human beings, okay? And there's something that you have to bring into these games because it's still human beings young men playing emotional sports. So there's got to be some sort of connection, human connection that, oh God, LaFleur on the iPad when the defense is out on the field, like, oh my God, guy, you're the head coach. You know, maybe you could watch something and see what the opposing offense is doing since you're good at it and impart that to your defensive coordinator. I don't know. But yeah, that's so right. LaFleur goes to the iPad and Jordan Love just sits on the bench by himself. It's just so optically it looks bad, but it also represents something. Like they're just sort of, they're missing something. And it bothers me.
That's Mike Felger, 98.5 The Sports Hub. I was at the Super Bowl. He joined my evening drive show. It's fun to get him on to talk about his teams, Wisconsin teams, once a year, big-time broadcaster out in Boston. And I play that soundbite because I think it so perfectly captures how so many people feel about Jordan Love. I can't quite put my finger on it. And I like Jordan Love, and I'm not trying to be unreasonable, but there's something. Can I get a little bit more, I don't know, can I get a little bit more fire? Can I get a little bit more, I don't know what it is. I can't put it to words, but I think we all on some level feel this way. And when we talk about Jordan Love taking the next step, we've been discussing this because Chuck Freeman, well, first of all, we do this every show. Like at some point during every Bill Michaels show between 10 and 2, we talk about, is Matt LaFleur the guy, and can Jordan Love take the next step? Like that just organically and naturally comes up every day. But the reason I have brought it up today in advance of Matt Pauley, who's going to be here in 10 minutes to talk Brewers Cardinals. The reason I bring it up today is because Chuck Freeman said in our conversation last hour, you know, Jordan Love's going to have to take the next step. And what we agree on is it's not statistical. His numbers last year were great. He was terrific. And no matter what spreadsheet you look at or what graph you looking, okay, where's the Packers down? Okay, it's up in the X and Y axis. That's good. No matter what number or table you look at, and Peter Bukowski will shove them all down your throat, and Andy Herman will hammer you over the head with all this stuff. And I like both of those guys. They do good work. The Packers are going to come out great, and Jordan Love's going to look awesome. And Matt LaFleur in this Packers offense, one of the tops in the league. How could you draw any other conclusion? Well, I don't know. They won 9 games, and they lost 5 in a row to end the year, and they blew a bunch of leads, and they couldn't slam the door against the Bears in the playoffs. That's why I question, like, okay, so the EPA per play, great. In my opinion, Jordan Love taking the next step it's a 2 or 3 plays a game when you need a little extra, when you gotta have it. You know what I mean? It's like golf. Like maybe Rory McIlroy before he started winning the Masters is a great example, where it's like you can tell that the talent's there. He's brilliant. He's one of the best golfers in the world, has been forever. But 2 or 3 strokes on Sunday at Augusta, where it's like you can't put that one in the water. You can't lay up on the front of that corner of, what is it? Amen corner. Like you just can't biff that shot. It doesn't matter what you do for the other 4 days. You can shoot out of your mind and you can be brilliant and you can eagle this hole and you can birdie that hole and you can hit all of the fairway. You can split the fairway beautifully. You can't dunk that shot. It almost cost him last year. He had that thing won, and Justin Rose, if that ball doesn't fall for Justin Rose, if it's not an inch one way or the other, like Rory gags it away again. I think there's a great golf parallel to this. It's not just about putting up the best numbers. Well, you can't blame Jordan Love. He threw for 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. And to be fair, I'm not blaming Jordan Love. I'm not saying that he sucks. I think he's great. But when we're talking about the difference between a really good quarterback who puts up great stats and has a great arm and a quarterback that, I don't know, wins the division and wins playoff games, that's the difference. That's what we're talking about. Little killer instinct, a penchant for the big moment. Couple of texts here. 608-321-1670. Paul and Menasha. Has Love's moment been on the field, come and gone, not due to him, but because a wide receiver dropped the ball or a bad coaching move? Hey, I've been bitching about Jaden Reed since the Monday after that game, having the clang right off his hands. I've done nothing but complain about it. And I know we all love Jaden Reed, and I actually really like the contract, but hey, trust me. Yeah. Jordan Love trying to steal a win at the end. and very well would have had a great chance to do, except Jaden Reed's hands turn into ping pong paddles. Anytime Jordan Love makes an out of this world throw, Jaden Reed's like, no. That will not be a pass that I'm catching. Thank you very much. Like that's Jaden Reed. Gordon in lacrosse says Matt LaFleur is the definition of an iPad kid. And I like Matt LaFleur. I like him less every year. And you should too, because they keep coming up short. It's not even like, oh, Grant hates LaFleur. It's like, well, no, every year they underachieve and underperform. Like I'm probably going to like him a little bit less. Duh. That's how it should work. I think the iPad's a thing. And I used to deny it. And people would call and text this show or comment. It's like, Matt LaFleur just goes to the sideline. He's just on his iPad. It's like, that doesn't matter. What do you mean? But when you're completely ignoring stretches of the games because you just want to get a head start on what's my next third down call? What's our next plan for the red zone? Like, you're missing things. You're as you heard Felger say in that clip, you're the head coach. Like, that's... So I think my biggest complaint about both Love and LaFleur, coach quarterback, and I think I'm right there with you. I think most Packers fans on some level, we're in the same neighborhood on this. We can't put our finger on it. We can't put it to words. We can't wrap our arm around it, but it's in big moments and in big spots and those couple of plays that decide every game. It's like that's where we need a little bit more intensity, a little bit more execution, a little bit more fire, a little bit more locked in. That's what they're missing. It has nothing to do with the big picture numbers or the counting stats. Again, those are all terrific. Matt Pauley, who's with KMOX in St. Louis, going to join us next to talk a little Brewers baseball and to add an NL Central Cardinals perspective to the show as well. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Grab a pen, Madison. I'm going to tell you how much it really costs to borrow $500 at the DLC. If you borrow $500, it will only cost you $3.78 per day. You can keep it out for a week, a month, a year. That's up to you. No application fee, no sneaky charges. Just $3.78 per day in interest for a $500 loan. For new customers, the first week's interest is even on us. It's easy to qualify, and you only pay interest for the time you have the loan out at Dollar Loan Center. Stop by our new location on East Washington at Hagen Drive in Beloit, and coming soon to Janesville and Beaver Dam. You can also get up to $5,000 in minutes at don'tbebroke.com and save the drive.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Statement amounts based on biweekly pay frequency with annual percent credit 275%. For additional cost information, call 866-550-4352. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
A lot of encouraging things, but they're playing good. They're playing with confidence. We're not quite there yet, but I believe in these guys.
Pat Murphy last night believes in his team and talks about the Cardinals playing with a lot of confidence. The Cardinals and the Brewers radio broadcast, Lane Grindle pointing this out last night. I was listening while out on my bike. I was exercising. Might as well mention, give myself credit for it. Pointing out, it's not very often you've been able to say that about the Cardinals in the last 20, 25 years. The surprising Cardinals are playing with a lot of juice. The Brewers, not so much. Matt Pauley is joining us now. KMOX in St. Louis, a former Brewers broadcaster, Milwaukee broadcaster as well. What do you attribute the Cardinals' success to so far this year? Why are they playing better than everyone thought?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a situation where I don't think these guys know better at this point. It's a bunch of young guys who there were zero expectations for this year, and this team has not been especially good over the last few years. So they kind of went into the season, said, F it, let's do it our way. And they're doing it and they're having fun. And like some of the expected numbers for this team are just terrible. And you're like, how are they doing this? You look at a number of the pitchers, there's guys who have expected ERAs that are 3 times their actual ERA. But it's a really fun group. It's for the first time in a while. The vibes that go along with it, and vibes don't win you baseball games. I get that. Like it's a chicken and egg sort of situation, but the vibes right now are really good, and it's a fun group to be around for sure.
I think vibes can win you baseball games in a way they don't necessarily win you football or basketball games. Honestly, it's a game every day, and baseball is really fun when you're winning and scoring runs and you're finding a way to get it done. I don't know. I think the Brewers have won a lot of games maybe in the last couple of years off of vibes. I don't know. I definitely think that's a real thing. And I think it's a real thing when a team is on the way up, when they're figuring it out and they don't know what they don't know, to your point. I always will. It's always more fun to be in that spot rather than the team that's maybe reached the top, hasn't gotten there yet, and is trying to figure it out or prevent, themselves from falling back down. I think that's a very real thing.
This clubhouse feels more like a Brewers clubhouse than I've ever been in my because I got to St. Louis. I grew up here, but I mean, I got back to cover the team in 22, and I remember walking into the Cardinal clubhouse in 22 and going, okay, this is different than what I'm used to being in a major league clubhouse in Milwaukee. This is everybody's buttoned up. Everybody, it's just put your head down, do your work, and it didn't feel like guys were having fun at 3:00 in the afternoon. And now they are. And it feels very different. I think in many ways, because the veterans are gone. Every veteran basically is gone. Sonny Gray got traded. Wilson Contreras got traded. Nolan Arenado got traded. Even going back to 22, there is no Adam Wainwright. There is no Yadier Molina. There is no Albert Pujols. There is no Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, all these guys and a bunch of guys that I just mentioned are going to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the best of the best. But those guys aren't around anymore. So all of a sudden, young dudes like Mason Witt and Jordan Walker and JJ Weatherholt, even as a rookie, this is their team. And the Cardinals are really lucky because if you hand the keys over to a bunch of young guys who don't know how to be professionals, that's a problem. But the Cardinals are really lucky that the guys that I just mentioned, Mason, when JJ Weatherholt walks in, the way he holds himself, the way he conducts himself, you would think he's a 5-year major league vet. So nobody needs to yell at somebody else for. We had a situation earlier this year where Nathan Church forgot how many outs there were and didn't throw the ball back in. And I was getting phone calls on my post-game show about why didn't Oliver Marmol take this guy out of the game? Well, because he feels terrible about it on his own. He's a pro. He didn't make the mistake because he doesn't care about the game or because it's just, he's a human being and he made a mistake. So the point I'm trying to make is they're really lucky that there's a bunch of young guys that don't need to be taught how to go about their business on an everyday basis.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras. Baseball, it seems, I guess, very simple. If you need to rebuild, you trade your players for prospects, you wait for the prospects to come up, and then they're good prospects, and you just win. That's how it works, right? But then I look at a team like the Red Sox, where Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras are, Marcelo Meyer's up, Roman Anthony's up, and it's like, well, why isn't it working? Well, because not every team has the thing that you're describing, where there's a certain standard and expectation where guys just get it, even if they're talented, and they've always been good baseball players. There's a step that it seems like the Cardinals are taking, that the Brewers have taken, that it's not just easy. It doesn't happen for every team. The Red Sox may be a good example right now.
They're a great example. And I feel like terrible for Sonny Gray. He was when the Red Sox were in St. Louis, he was lamenting about the fact that how much he loved being in St. Louis, but he was just there at the wrong time. And then he goes to Boston and it's a complete and total dumpster fire. I think there's a light. I'm not trying to get all philosophical with you here, but there's a little bit of a life lesson here, because when you make good decisions, you get rewarded and things start moving a little bit faster. The Cardinals have done nothing but make good decisions since Chaim Bloom took over as the president of baseball operations. Many of those good decisions had had a date of impact years down the line, but they are good decisions. And sometimes, a lot of times, you get rewarded just by making good decisions. And that's what's happening with the Cardinals right now. Yeah, they got a bunch of dudes that are playing high A baseball because that's who they went and got for these players. But it was really smart, good decisions that are being made. And somehow, some way, there's a trickle down effect, or maybe a trickle up effect would be the better way to say it, to the big league club.
Now, I know the Brewers and the Cardinals only played one game, but you follow baseball, you follow this league. Just seeing what you've seen of the Brewers, can you give me a reason why you think they might be okay and they're still going to be a team that contends, or maybe something that you've seen that would tell you, oh, this year's actually maybe a little different. This is the year where they fall off?
Yeah, so I mean, they're the Brewers. Let's first off, and go back to last year. I mean, how the start that the Brewers had last year, not like first weekend start, not first month start, but first weekend start, was terrible. And everybody was sitting there going, okay, maybe this is the year where the Brewers fall off. The two roster moves that are made yesterday, obviously with getting Chourio and Vaughn back, that's going to go a long way. They create pitching better than any other team in baseball. I do leave open the possibility that maybe this is the year where it just doesn't happen, because that's going to happen at some point. Every single year, we're going to look at the Brewers and we're going to look at the team on paper and we're going to say, man, I just don't get it. I don't know how this team's going to win. And then more often than not, they're going to go win a bunch of games. At some point, that's not going to happen. They're going to have a year where they don't win as much. Could that be this year? Yeah, I think it could. I think there's an okay percentage chance of that happening. But if they go reel off 12 out of their next 17 and all of a sudden are right next to the Cubs in first place in the division, like that can easily happen as well. They're a talented team. So I'm not trying to not answer your question, or I'm not trying to give both answers here, but I think either is a really legitimate possibility, that it just doesn't happen for the team this year, or they just go do what they always do again.
And it wasn't even just the first weekend last year. Like, we're to Memorial Day and we're like, like they would win a series or two and then they'd lose 2 or 3 to the Rockies. It's like, okay, this just kind of feels like the season it's going to be. And then they took off. I think the difference this year, and we can zoom out a bit, is the division's just better. Like, I know the Brewers won 97 games last year, so it's not like they won 89 games and won the division, but I think the Cubs have leveled up a level. The Cardinals are just, even if they're not there at the end, they're more competitive. I think the Reds are better. So I think the division as a whole is just better. What are your impressions of the Cubs? Let's just go talk about some of these other teams. What have you seen from that team so far?
I think they're the best team in the division. I don't like saying that. That's not my favorite. And I'm sure the people listening to you right now don't like me saying that, but they're the most talented team. But are there some red flags on this team? Absolutely. The bullpen scares me a little bit. The starting pitching injuries that they have sustained, it feels like they're going to still have to go get somebody if they want to be a team that can go on a deep playoff run. You look at how bad is that Bregman contract potentially going to look as it goes along, because he's just not doing what you expected him to do, and you wonder if he's kind of older than his age. That's what the Cardinals saw with Nolan Arenado. Arenado got to a point where he played older than what his actual age was. Is Bregman at that point? So again, I still think the Cubs are the best team in the division, but I don't think they're this runaway team. I think there's a lot of teams in the National League that are could have some success against them. But they score a ton of runs. You compare them and the Dodgers, I think those are the two clearly best offensive clubs in the National League right now.
What have the Reds figured out, or how have they improved this season?
Yeah, I think, look, they're another team that's made some pretty good decisions here recently, and that wasn't their MO. They, up until I think Terry Francona walking in there, he held the feet to the fire of the people above him, basically saying, you're going to bring me in. Well, we're going to make decisions that are correct decisions. And they can't go all in because they're the Reds. It's the same thing kind of with the Pirates. But you look at the amount of talent they have on that team, so much pitching. They may be the most talented team from top to bottom in the division. You still kind of feel like some of that talent isn't quite ready for prime time, but they've got a guy in Francona that knows what he's doing, and I think they've made some better decisions here recently.
It's just funny because I know we mentioned the Red Sox, but Francona used to be in the organization a while ago, like it was a couple managers ago. Chaim Bloom used to be at the Red Sox, and the Brewers, they're not staffing anyone who's in that building, but I mean, what Matt Arnold has done getting Quinn Priester last year and then Kyle Harrison, and I think Drowan's going to be a really nice piece for them. He's just kind of hanging out in the bullpen right now. It's just funny when smaller market GMs pants big market GMs and moves like that. I just find it very interesting. And it seems like the Red Sox are intent on operating in that pool, and they're just not cut out for it, it would seem. It just makes me laugh. That it's just a funny story to me.
Yeah, I mean, and for those of you who don't know, like the Chaim Bloom story is he went in there, and then the first thing that they tell him to do is you have to trade Mookie Betts. And oh yeah, by the way, we want to get out from underneath the contract to David Price. So he had to trade Mookie Betts, not get full return for him because you had to include Price for it. And then he gets fired within, he's blamed for that when it was a total ownership decision to do that. And then you saw what the Red Sox did last year with everybody that Chaim Bloom had brought into the organization. He's the guy who deserves the most credit for what the Red Sox did last year. That organization is a mess.
It's very entertaining. It's a good soap opera.
I agree. Yeah.
And I don't even really have anything against him. It's just funny when a big market team wants to operate in a shrewd way, and it's clear that they're not capable of dealing the way that the Guardians, the Brewers, the Rays, the Cardinals now. Like you're not cut out for this. What do you make of so far, Matt Pauley, KMOX, teams like, I don't know, the Blue Jays, I know they've been hurt, the Phillies, like the Mets, certainly big spenders, big market teams really not getting off to good starts.
Yeah, I think every situation is a unique situation. I have a hard time like lumping in all those teams together. I think Toronto's going to be okay, but you historically go look at World Series teams that lose the World Series and are teams that weren't expected to get there. Like the Diamondbacks were another team like that a few years ago. Those teams historically have a bit of a hangover that next year. So if that ends up happening this year for Toronto, that's not going to shock me. That's just something that's historical. The Mets, like, where's the David Stearns I know and love? Because this guy, that is not a baseball roster. That is just a collection of pieces. And I mean, you got all these guys who can play every position but can't play any position basically at the same time. You've got an owner I almost feel bad for Stearns because I feel like Cohen is pushing him in directions that are uncomfortable. I don't know, but they won't fire Mendoza. Last year, you tell Mendoza after the season is over, you either lose your job or you bring in new coaches that we force upon you. So you were ready to fire him if he wasn't willing to go with that. And then this year, the thing is terrible and you're dying on the Mendoza Hill where 6 months ago, you weren't even sure you were going to bring him back. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I think the Phillies have just gotten old, unfortunately for them, and they'll be fine. I mean, that's an organization that spends money and does things smart ways. I don't think there's any sort of like systemic issues with the Philadelphia Phillies. So
sometimes you get old. You get old, you get hurt. Like
Yeah.
that happens in all sports. It happens in baseball sooner than you think. Just one thing on David Stearns to close. I know nothing other than what I follow from 10,000 feet. I feel like David Stearns wanted to do some smart things this offseason. We're going to get younger. We're going to get cheaper. We're going to maybe offload some pieces with which we were not able to win a World Series. And then in that process, it's like, well, wait, I'm still the GM of the Mets. I'm in a huge media market. I have a huge payroll. I'm still expected to spend. So they ended up spending anyway, just because that pressure exists. And you bring in all these pieces that like really don't make any sense. Like those aren't David Stearns additions. Those are moves you make when you feel like, well, I got to spend.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, should I spend this money or am I just spending it to spend it? And that's the thing about the Dodgers. I look, they spend crazy amounts of money. It's the fact that they went and got Kyle Tucker, the best free agent available this past offseason, and he's basically the 5th best player on the team. That's crazy and that's insane, but it made them better. Like everything the Dodgers did, they don't spend money stupidly. They spend lots of money and it makes them better. The Mets can do the Mets should be Dodgers East, and they're, for whatever reason, they're not right now.
I respect the Dodgers. They're smart. And but the problem is I think my team is smart too. They just don't have $700 million.
Yeah.
And and you probably feel the same way. It's like, well, yeah, I respect the Dodgers because they can develop pitching and do all these things. But like my team does a lot of those things, just minus $500 to $700 million, which is why it's hard sometimes with the Dodgers. But they're not dumb. They're not just a pile of money. Like they're a good baseball outfit. So
yeah, Andrew Friedman does not have a bunch of money burning through the pocket of his pants where he says, I have to spend this money. He spends it when he sees something that can make the team better.
I appreciate you, Matt Pauley. Enjoy the rest of the series. Anytime you're on, we always have some good baseball conversation. Appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Thanks for having me on. I always enjoy the conversation.
Matt Pauley, KMOX down there in St. Louis, former Brewers broadcaster as well. I just like big picture baseball conversations. I like laughing at the Red Sox and talking about the Dodgers. I think baseball's in a really good spot. And I know that people don't like, well, the Mets are spending how much and the Dodgers are spending how much. It's probably good for everybody involved. It's more attention. It's more star power. It's bigger games in the postseason. I don't know that it's great for the Brewers, but the Brewers have been right there as well. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the Brewers losing in the NLCS, as brutal as it felt in the moment. We'll take a break, wrap up hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show, and reset for the start of hour 4. Still a lot of show to go.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Bill Michaels Show. Appreciate you being here. Putting the finishing touches on hour number 3. We're going to get back into the Packers in the 4th hour. Let me hear a little bit from the Packers' new special teams coordinator. I'm interested to dip into this press conference, hear what this cat has to say. We could do a little bit of Adam Stenavich. I feel like I've seen that movie before. I don't know that we need to hear from Adam Stenavich. Maybe 1 or 2 specific comments. I'll see what Mike Clemens sent us, what he picked out yesterday. A little break news is about 20 minutes ago. Angel Zerpa is having left UCL reconstruction surgery with Dr. Keith Meister next week. He will be out until the spring of summer or spring/summer 2027. The Brewers anticipate. And I quote tweeted this news saying, well, at least Venezuela got to win a fake baseball tournament. I am out on the World Baseball Classic because selfishly it cost the Brewers, who was supposed to be one of their leverage relievers, and also Jackson Chourio. Not just because he got hit by a pitch, which could have happened in a spring training game, but because they're like, oh, you got hit by a pitch? Do we X-ray? No need, no X-ray. Oh, the machine, Jackson, the machine's broken, so we can't X-ray it. We have a game tomorrow. What's on the line? The World Baseball Classic. Everyone knows it's not a fake tournament at all. Fox broadcasts it and everything. I'm just out on the World Baseball Classic. I didn't even enjoy it that much. I felt nothing when the United States lost, and I don't think I would have felt anything crazy had they won. I don't think it's content that we needed in February and in March. We've been fine with college basketball. I think we would have been fine with college basketball. So that's my commentary on the World Baseball Classic at this moment in time. Cost the Brewers a leverage arm and Over a month of Jackson Chourio. Nice. All right, cool. Well, congrats to Venezuela. Hour number 4, the Bill Michaels Show coming up next. We're going to hear from some more Packers coaches, including their brand new special teams coordinator. We'll get to know Cam Achord coming up next. Hour number 4, welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Show. Appreciate you being here. Bill will be back on Friday. You're stuck with me until then. We'll get through plenty to discuss this week. The Packers introducing Jonathan Gannon, Cam Achord, their new special teams coordinator. We're going to get into that here in just a minute or two. Plenty of time to take your phone calls on any of the Brewers or the Packers discussion that we've had so far today. 608-321-1670. I'm getting annoyed because I'm trying to download audio out of my Microsoft Outlook and it won't download. Grant's getting upset. Also, I'm a little annoyed today because I stepped in a stinging nettle on Sunday, which is whatever. I was fly fishing. I had sandals on. It's a stinging nettle. I'm not a baby. Well, I am a baby, but stinging nettle's not that big of a deal. Since when does a stinging nettle like become a 4-day? My foot, like my toe, my pointer toe is swollen. And I feel it when I curl my toes. And also, like the top of my foot feels like someone dropped a bowling ball on it. Like, is this something worse than a stinging nettle? Bill always brings his life experience. It's somebody in the live chat over there's got to be like, I'm a botanist, and here's what happened. Like somebody, I bought some lotion today at Woodman's this morning. So that just has me just generally, I would say, irritable. But now I'm getting annoyed because I'm trying to download some Packers audio and my computer won't let me. I'm just going to restart my Outlook and see if that does it. I'll take your calls. If you want to jump in and discuss anything that we talked about with Matt Pauley, 608-321-1670, or conversations about, say, the Packers. This one from the 920 just says, Jordan Love plays quarterback like he's playing a video game. See, I don't know what that means. But it goes back to our conversation from last hour. It's like we all are missing a little something from Jordan Love. I think we do. Can we all agree? Can we find common ground that Jordan Love is good? Because if you think Jordan Love stinks or he's not good, I don't know that I can help you. Because he's good. I think he's very good. Can we all agree that on some level he's a good quarterback? Okay, agree on that. He is not perfect, and I think there is a reason that the Packers over the last couple of years have won 9 games instead of 12. And I think there's lots of reasons that the Packers have lost in the first round instead of advancing, or they've blown leads for one reason or another. You know what I mean? I don't think it's because Jordan Love isn't throwing for enough yards. And I don't think it's because Jordan Love isn't avoiding turnovers. Actually, I think Jordan Love, the perception around him is that he turns the ball over left and right, and he's a little bit of an arsonist, and he's always putting the ball in harm's way. He has a dumb pick here and there, but by and large, this last season, he protected the ball really well. Really well. But he's still discussed like he'll just throw the ball up for grabs. His bad interceptions are bad, but this is always what I say. I feel the need to defend Jordan Love a little bit in that. Do you guys watch other teams? Do you watch other games? You don't need to watch every single game every single weekend, but what you'll find is if you watch Matthew Stafford every other week or Patrick Mahomes every other week, what you'll find is that, Patrick Mahomes will throw like the stupidest pick here and there. Stafford, every once in a while, will throw a stupid pick. Every quarterback, the best quarterbacks will occasionally throw a boneheaded pick. Like that, like it happens. Jordan Love is not the only, people talk about Jordan Love like he invented interceptions. He doesn't. What we're missing with Jordan Love, it's just this little thing, and it's hard to quantify, it's hard to qualify or articulate. It's just in specific moments. We're in the 2-minute. We're in the fourth quarter, 4 minutes left. You got the ball with a chance to go in it. Situations like that, it just doesn't seem like he's got the game by the balls. He'll make good throws. I think against the Bears down the stretch, like he made an awesome throw that hit Jaden Reed right in the palms, and the guy dropped it. So he doesn't suck, and I don't think he's awful in big moments. There's just a little thing where it's like, guys, you're not going to win a Super Bowl by accident. If you want to win playoff games and a Super Bowl, which means multiple playoff games, you're going to have moments where you go grab it. And this isn't a team that goes and grabs it. And Jordan Love, the quarterback, and Matt LaFleur, the coach, they're at the front of that. Coach quarterback. It starts with coach quarterback. Okay, what I did was I used my Outlook to forward Mike's email to my Gmail, downloaded it there, and now we can listen to Cam Achord. We're going to pause and react together. I want to size this guy up. I want to get a cut of this guy's jib. This is Cam Achord, the Packers' new special teams coordinator. Let's see what this cat's got to say.
Just real quick, just give you a quick bio about myself.
Beautiful.
You guys kind of open it up and start asking questions. Obviously, last 2 years been in New York, helping out there with the Giants. Prior to that was in New England, which you guys know. Prior to that was junior college in Mississippi, which I fall back on a lot because when you're coaching a lot of different things, you got to focus on a lot of different things, from doing the fields to equipment to every little ins and outs you can do. Obviously born and raised in Mississippi. Spent my life 32 years there, played small college ball in Jackson, and I was blessed to get the opportunity to go to New England. So real quick spill, got a wife and a soon-to-be 3-year-old. So I know you guys want to get to doing football and everything too. So we'll let y'all open up with some questions and stuff.
I like this cat. I like my position coaches and my special teams coordinators, maybe my defensive coordinators, although I think position coaches, special teams guy, I want them to be a little nuts. I want them to be a little bit blue collar. My offensive coordinator, maybe my defensive coordinator, tight pants, hair well coiffed. I like what I'm hearing from a special teams guy so far. I don't know if I'd love this guy as my head coach. Maybe it could work. I think I really like him special teams so far. First impression.
How does a guy make the jump from junior college to the
Question, how do you make the jump from junior college to here?
Relationships. So when I was at Southern Miss GA my last year there, Joe Judge spent February to the end of March there, who's going to coach the tight ends and do special teams. So I got to know him there. So basically going in on the weekends from 6 a.m. to call it 10, 11 o'clock at night, just watching all this Alabama film because he just came from Alabama. And then he got the call to go be Scotty O's assistant in New England. And so when he left, we just stayed in touch, communicated. You know, I'd watch a lot more New England games then. I go back to like the Super Bowl they played in. I take a picture of him talking to Bill on the sideline. You know, I send him a picture then. I was like, hey, you're about to probably kick the onside kick, surprise onside kick there. Different things, but just communication and not really badgering the guy, but asking for advice here and there and just building a relationship. So to me, it doesn't matter whether you come in contact with somebody for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you're going to make an impression on them. So make sure you're making a good impression on somebody. Make sure they understand who you are and you're genuine. You'll hear me say that word a lot. I believe in being genuine. I tell our guys to be genuine, genuine excitement. You'll see me at practice once you get out there and stuff. I'll move around a pretty good bit. But that's really how I got there. He called me, asked me if I wanted to interview. So I went up there and actually interviewed. Bill wasn't there at the time, so I had to go back. I actually became the head coach of the junior college for about a month and a half during that time. And I'm a very loyal person. So when Judge called me, he was like, hey, I want to re-interview you. Bill wants to be here. And I was like, I can't do it. You know, so I initially turned the second interview down, but about 4 hours later, I called him back and said, what am I thinking? So went up there. I got the interview and Bill offered me the job that day. So
very different than Bisaccia. Longer answers, introductory press conference, but Bisaccia had like notorious short answers. He's kind of a boring press conference, actually, which is funny because I feel like if you were to get a job on TV or a job talking, like he'd probably be pretty interesting, but he never made it his goal at a press conference.
That's how I ended up here.
And how much influence did you have on your team getting Trace Mack?
Okay, so the question is, how much influence did you have on the Packers drafting Trace Mack?
You know, it was a collaborative effort, you know, kind of like Goody and Matt kind of alluded to. You know, you give your opinion to those guys. You tell them where you kind of feel like guys are, where they will be, what they'll be in the future. To me, when you're projecting guys, you're not just projecting their first year, you're projecting what they can be in year 2, 3, 4. So you give your opinion to those guys, you say what you're convicted in, and then, you know, obviously that they make those decisions, but you're obviously giving your input. Straight ball, accuracy. His ball doesn't move a lot. You know, for me, I don't need a guy, you know, and I've been blessed to coach a lot of guys that are really good. I don't need a guy that can kick 65 yards personally. I want the guy that's going to put it through consistently from 58, 55. Because, again, we're playing in Green Bay, whether I was coaching in New England, coaching in MetLife, we're going to play in elements. And, you know, you're not going to need the 60-yard ball all the time. You're going to need the 45-yard ball with a 14-mile-an-hour crosswind.
There you go.
So his ball not moving and stuff like that was definitely a big part.
That was my thought, too, when he said, I don't need 65. I need 55 to 58. It's like, whoa, let's start with hitting the 45-yarders because that was more Brandon McManus's bugaboo last year. Can we hit the 40s? Then maybe we can work our way out. That's fine. Now, I think in today's NFL, if your guy can't occasionally poke from 55, like you're at a disadvantage because a lot of guys can. Green Bay and the elements a little different. Can we be really consistent in the 40s? That would be excellent.
How much of a thing is the Florida kicker learning how to kick in Green Bay? Is there more made of that than it should be, or is that something that you do have to actually?
Okay, so the question is Ryan Wood asking how much of a learning curve or how big of a deal is it to kick in the elements and how much can be taught or how much is taught or how much of that is overblown?
For me personally, I think it's more made up than it is. I mean, just think about the history here, right? Ryan Longwell, Oregon, Cal, pretty good here, right? Mason Crosby, Texas, Colorado, pretty good here. I was blessed to coach Stephen Gostkowski, Mississippi, Memphis, New England, Nick Folk, California, Arizona, kicked pretty good at MetLife, kicked pretty well. So to me, I think it's a little bit more made up of the cold elements than there probably really is to it. To me, it's more about their mindset and learning how to play their ball in the wind and the elements than it is actually the cold weather and those things. I mean, we're going to go kick cold footballs to practice. We practice outside. So we'll get used to that. You know, many times we can be outside or kick or be in Lambeau and kick, the better we're going to be.
I dig this guy so far. Knows his stuff. You asked me where a kicker went to college, I'd be like, dude, I knew Mason Crosby was a Colorado guy. Was he at Texas before then? Did he transfer? Or maybe he went to high school in Texas in high school? I don't know. He was good knowledge base of special teams. A little more.
Team last year. What's the key to being successful under this new format?
What's the key to being a good kickoff team under this new format? Kickoff return.
First is buy-in. Having guys that want to do it. That's the biggest thing, and having a plan for those guys and attacking it every day. It's the little things. Tell the guys we're going to focus every day. It's the attention to details. It's the can't win till you keep from losing mindset. Don't commit penalties. We're not going to want to start our offense inside the 30-yard line ever. Our goal is to get out past that, but it's each other knowing, understanding. I tell the guys all the time, we want to consistently hit singles. If you use a baseball analogy, we're going to hit the singles. We're going to hit the singles. And then sooner or later, that pitcher's going to groove one, and we're going to knock it out the park. So it's the consistent thing, and it's doing those little things over and over and over. But it starts with the fundamentals and the techniques. You'll hear me say that a good bit. It's the fundamentals. It's the hand placement. It's the blocking leverage. It's the returner knowing the tracks he has to run. It's all tied together. But I think it's for our guys understanding the concept and then the belief in knowing, all right, as long as I do my job, it's going to set up everyone else out on the field.
No, I was under the impression that you could just get an extra point blocked against Cleveland, just, randomly. Sure, whatever. If it cost you a game, that's fine, right? At least it was last year. And Rich Bisaccia. I like the emphasis on no penalties. We're not going to commit penalties. Good God, can you imagine what last season would have looked like if they didn't commit penalties on returns? We don't want to start our offense inside the 20. Well, that'll be a welcome change in Green Bay. Let's listen to another answer or two.
You were asked about Trey, but with Denai Dennis having 3 block kicks in college, how do you think we'll get this guy? Could be healthy too? And what do you think of his?
So I think he's asking, Denai Dennis Sutton blocked a lot of kicks in college. Is that something you're, interested in?
Yeah, no, Denai obviously had a very good skill set in college, rushing punts, field goals, all that stuff. I think any guy that's on our roster, we're going to put them in the position they do any skill set. I think that's our job as coaches in general. What does the player do well? And let's maximize that. What does he not do well? And let's limit that. So obviously he has some ability to block that showed up. So that's something we'll definitely work on along with a bunch of other players on the roster for sure.
What was this offseason like for you?
Come to you next.
In terms of, Rich leaves, I think it was 5 weeks after the season. What was your plan at the time?
He's asking about his offseason plan given when Rich Bisaccia left. Kind of a weird timeline.
Yeah, it obviously happened pretty fast. Turnover in New York. So now you're on the phone as anyone else is. You're networking, you're calling, you're communicating. You're talking to several people. I had a couple other options. I won't go into detail there. Potentially, you should have respect for them. But obviously, when this opportunity came about and Matt called me, he goes, would you like to interview? I said, yeah, absolutely. Would love to. And it was a pretty quick process for me. Felt like it was an eternity. But go from the Zoom to the in-person to getting the job, it was pretty quick. But I think the biggest thing was obviously being able to put you in a situation to be in touch with a guy. I hadn't known Matt prior other than when we practiced here, really when we practiced in 23 here. So.
That's interesting. Didn't know Matt LaFleur. Hafley had worked with him. He knew him. I'm not sure about Bisaccia. I don't think so. Knew Joe Barry. So in most instances where Matt LaFleur's made a hire, they have some sort of, previous personal relationship or work experience. It sounds like other than joint practices, which would have been New England. When New England did they do a joint practice? And is that when they canceled that preseason game or they called it early? I can't remember fully, but that's interesting. Okay, that's a departure from the norm a little bit.
For you to go back to the kicking situation, have you ever been in a situation where you have 3 guys that are 3 quality guys like this, and how much added, stress pressure does it add on?
Asking about having 3 kickers on the roster who are all not terrible options.
More the merrier. Brings me. I've had as many as 4. So just to be honest, they always have their strengths. They're here for a reason, all of them. I think it's gonna be a great competition. I think all those guys bring stuff to the table. That's why they're all here. They're all professional football players. And we'll work it. We'll manufacture where everybody's getting reps, and we'll divide it up. But it's not something I'm new to by any means. I honestly want to say my entire career, there's only been like 1 year that I've had actually maybe 2. But every time if I've had 2, don't quote me on that part, but I think it was 2 is the least amount I've ever had kind of going into an off season. We've always had at least 2. Most time it was 3. The last 2 years in New York, we've had 3 almost the whole year a lot of times. So we'll work the reps accordingly for each of those guys, and then working with, Matt and Daniel off on the side.
What have you seen from Sky Moore's background?
What have you seen from Sky Moore?
Singles and doubles at Jones Park?
Yeah. Obviously, he was convicted running. in San Fran, had a solid year. He's done a lot of good things with the ball. For me, returners, number one thing is holding on to the ball. We're not going to put it on the ground, and being able to control the ball and catch the ball. All right, let's start there. We want to make sure we have the ball at the end of the play, and then everything else we'll talk about gaining the yards and everything. But, he was convicted. He's gotten better every year. I think if you go back, look at him where didn't do it in college, then you see him, he gets to Kansas City, does it, and doesn't do it. In San Fran, he actually had a very productive year. So I'm excited to work with him along with the other guys that are going to be back there. So
I really hope Sky Moore makes the team. I hope he makes the roster. I think the Packers could benefit from having an actual bona fide receiver. We'll pick this up. I am interested in this cat. This is worth a couple more minutes of listening. I'm drawn to the focus on no penalties. I like that. And Packers fans, we can rip the team for a lot of stuff, and we have all offseason. They've made that investment in special teams. They got a new special teams coordinator, even if it happened kind of by accident. New special teams coordinator, drafted a kicker. They've signed a returner. I hope the returner makes the roster. We got a long way to go before then. But I think you have a hard time faulting the Packers for how they've handled or tried to handle their special teams so far this offseason. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll pick this up on the other side. This guy's interesting. I can listen to him for a couple more minutes. I wasn't planning to listen to the whole thing, but I don't know. This cat's got some personality. So we'll hit this on the other side. And your calls and texts at 608-321-1670.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
First is buy-in, having guys that want to do it. That's the biggest thing. And having a plan for those guys and attacking it every day. You know, it's the little things. Tell the guys we're going to focus every day. It's the attention to details. It's the can't win till you keep from losing mindset. Don't commit penalties. We're not going to want to start our offense inside the 30-yard line ever. You know, our goal is to get out past that, but it's each other knowing, understanding. I tell the guys all the time, we want to consistently hit singles. If you use a baseball analogy, you know, we're going to hit the singles. We're going to hit the singles. And then sooner or later, that pitcher's going to groove one and we're going to knock it out the park. So it's the consistent thing. And it's doing those little things over and over and over. But it starts with the fundamentals and the techniques. You'll hear me say that a good bit. It's the fundamentals. It's the hand placement. It's the blocking leverage. It's the returner knowing the tracks he has to run. It's all tied together. But I think it's for our guys understanding the concept and then the belief in knowing, all right, as long as I do my job, it's going to set up everyone else out on the field.
Hitting singles, hitting singles, hitting singles. What about, here's an idea, a bunch of at-bats in a row where you just make the pitcher work? I mean, that's what the Brewers are doing. That probably wouldn't work as well. That's my favorite part so far of what Cam Achord has said. I think it's Achord. Maybe it's Achord. It's the new Packers special teams coordinator. Just describing how he approaches kick return. Let's cut out penalties. God, I can't wait to play that clip for Bill. He'll do a jumping jack on the air, when he gets back from vacation. Penalties just killed him last year on special teams. So we're going to pick this up. Let me just make sure I pick us up in the right spot. Just a couple minutes left. This guy's interesting. I have no interest in listening to Adam Stenavich. But this guy, I find him compelling. This is an interesting character. Let's pick this up here. A couple more minutes.
Your time in New England there, you always hear from both Bill and Joe, you know, the emphasis on special teams, obviously the success they had there. What do you think is the key to that? Because what did you take away?
Okay, so he's asked about his time in New England. The key to that, their special teams always being a big part of those championship teams.
I think it's the meticulous attention to the details is the number one, and the fundamental techniques. The kicking game is football. It's running, it's blocking, it's tackling. It's everything encompasses that you do on offense and defense. And I'll refer to offensive and defensive plays with our guys as much as I can, you know, whether it's an outside zone play, whatever it may be, something that they register in their brain because they're coming from playing a lot of offense and defense in college most of the time. So just trying to relate to them that way and break it down and then maximizing your time on the things that are important, you know, and then it's the little things. Hand placement, like I said, you know, how are your feet? How are you going to strike the guy in protections? Where are they going to be at? The communication aspect. Again, nothing is going to get overlooked. You know, that's a big part I put our guys on is we'll do all the groundwork. Y'all just show up and make sure you know kind of where we're at, what we're going to do in terms of aspects. But I think it's the details is the biggest thing and making sure there is. I don't like the philosophy of like not knowing what ifs. I like to think about that. Like, all right, well, what if they did this? What will we do? Trying to be proactive and having an answer before you go kind of into the battle, you know, game day.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about that answer and consider what we know about New England and what we've been told about that dynasty, that matches, right? The little details, hammering it in practice to the point where all the players are probably miserable. A lot of players were miserable in New England, but they won championships. I also think a big part of New England's success on special teams was the fact that Matthew Slater was there. And I've said of Bo Melton now multiple times since the season has ended. I would give Bo Melton a 10-year contract. He can be on the Packers as long as he wants. You go find Matthew Slater this offseason. You said, hey, can I get coffee with you? Can I get dinner with you? You learn everything you can. You turn yourself into Matthew Slater or Chris Banjo or whoever. Like, I think these good teams with good special teams have special teams guys, aces who are fully committed to it, almost like a captain of that unit. That's what I would want Bo Melton to be. But that answer completely jives with what we know about New England and how they operated.
It's been a long time since Green Bay's had good special teams, like positive units. How do you build a unit, like mentality-wise, to get them to where you can?
Bill Huber asked, Green Bay, on the other hand, bad special teams. How do you fix that? A culture, a unit that's been bad for so long, how do you turn that around?
I think it goes back to that initially. Like, let's start with the fundamentals. Like, I mean, when we go out to the field, wherever, we're going to start there. We're not getting a bunch of scheme. We got to do the little things right because then you lay the foundation, right? We're going to lay a foundation, and then we'll start maximizing that, and it's putting the guys in a situation to be successful. I use the acronym with our guys. It's FACS. I developed that in junior college because everybody I would talk to, they would be like, yeah, coach, FACS. So I was like, okay, so it's focus with the right attitude to compete, doing it together. So if we can do those 4 things every day, we're going to end up having success on the field. But it starts in the meeting room. Starts showing up with the right attitude, being genuine and excited, wanting to go to work, not, having to be here. We get to go to work, wanting to put the time in and, just having that rapport with the guys that they're excited to be out there on the field. And once you develop that and you develop the techniques, I think everything else is going to take care of itself.
Cam, you mentioned junior college a couple times. I don't know how accurate Wikipedia is. Was your last year there, were you really the offensive coordinator, the special teams coordinator, the quarterbacks coach, the running backs coach, and the tight ends coach?
So it sounds like he was the coach of everything at junior college, OC, DC, tight ends coach, quarterbacks coach.
The recruiting coordinator, if you want to add it on there. But yes, I was. Yeah. So we had on offensive staff, we had the O-line coach, who actually was the, we had the O-line coach, and then we had one other coach, myself, really coaching the entire offense, and then I did the special teams. So that's kind of where I developed the not sleeping habit, I think,
I do think special teams is a weird thing in that having experience doing everything, like special teams is such a mash unit of some guys from offense, some guys from defense, guys who are at the bottom of the roster, occasionally guys who are at the top of the roster. Like you maybe to coordinate special teams can benefit from having coached like being a very holistic coach. You know what I mean? Maybe not. I find that interesting. Someone who's been in the tight end room, been in the quarterback room, done offense, done defense, done recruiting, like done it all. I think special teams is like the leftovers unit of the football roster. So having experience in all other areas of the roster, I don't know. That seems helpful. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it the way that I want to, but that seems to fit.
And they've got a guy to worry about the lights and the turf getting mowed and everything else.
Joke. Jason Wilde.
How does that time influence you? It's been a long time since you did that, but I'm guessing.
Asked about how that influenced him.
They were very important to me. I tell everybody, I think some of the best coaches are people that coach small college ball, whether that's Division II, Division III, junior college, because you have to wear a lot of hats. And so it makes you put the stuff that's really important in a bucket and let's take care of that. The stuff that maybe is not and so important. Everything's important, but there's obviously levels to everything. But it also makes you maximize your time. When you're doing all those different things, you've got to lay out a day. You've got to be organized. So that really helped me with the organization process because not only were you scripting for the offense, then you had to turn around and script for special teams practice. Then you had to let the other coaches know where to go, what to do, what part, because you had to use everybody as a coach, obviously, during the drills. So I say it helped me develop into a lot better coach, and I rely back on a lot.
And thanks to New England, you're undefeated as a head coach then?
That's correct. That's right.
I don't know, with the way that things laid out, it was late in the hiring process for the coaching carousel. I don't know if you saw this job that opened before you heard from Matt, but when you saw that there was a coordinator job open so late, like what was your initial reaction?
When you saw that the NFL job, the Packers job opened so late because Bisaccia left, what was your initial reaction? Did you want the chance to be in the NFL?
Yeah, I think the initial reaction is like, is it a job you want? I think there's jobs out there that you may or may not want all the time. It's like, what's the situation? Can you be successful in that situation? There's always, you don't want to make impulse decisions. You want to take a second, take a breath. But obviously once, you take that breath, it's like, what is it? And obviously this is a historic franchise team. It's a very unique team as well, obviously being one of one in the situation. But I was obviously excited to get the phone call. I think it is a great opportunity. I would say, like, for me, it's an opportunity that I wanted again to be a coordinator as well. Just was blessed to get the opportunity from Matt, and then obviously, get the opportunity to be here.
In terms of seeing it as a job where you can be successful at, what was it that made this job attractive to you?
Yeah,
what made the job attractive?
I think there's pieces in place. I think there's players here. I think Matt understands that the kicking game. He's been great for me already. So I think it's just there's an opportunity here to improve and get better, and there's already pieces here. You're not going into a situation where you're like, oh man, we're definitely starting from scratch with everything. there was obviously a lot of, toughness already about the team and stuff like that. So there was just a little bit of things when you looked at it, like obviously Daniel is Daniel, those type of things. But there's just enough pieces that you're like, hey, we have an opportunity to be successful in the kicking game.
With Daniel, what stands out to you about him, and where you kind of see the 0 points in as a puncher?
Yeah, obviously he had a tremendous year last year. We've sat down, we've talked. I tell the guys we're either getting better or we're getting worse. You're never going to really stay the same. So our goal is every day to get better. And he's attacking it that way. He's been great so far. Obviously, limited interaction with him. So we'll continue to get better, but we'll see where it goes.
Do you still stick like 6 cups of coffee and 3 Pepsis every day?
No, I've cut back. I still have a lot, not that many. I try to cut back. I would say now I'm down to about 3 to 4, and I've cut out the sodas really. So I'm probably down to 3 or 4 coffees, 2 before, and then maybe 1 or 2 after. About 2 o'clock, I'll have one every day. But naturally a high energy person anyway. I don't need it. So, we'll see. You good?
It's Cameron Cord. 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day is not that many. If you're not also drinking soda and energy drinks, assuming the cups are like, if it's a cup, you know what I mean? Like if it's a cup, like a big cup, 3 or 4, those is a lot. 3 or 4 like mugs, 2 in the morning, which is mostly like I'm gonna get a cup and then I'm gonna warm it up, and then like 1 in the afternoon. That's not bad at all. We can react to this. I like that one answer. We'll circle back to. If you have any thoughts on this, I'll take your calls. 608-321-1670. Get to some texts on the other side. Also, there have been some developments in this Diana Rossini story that I find very interesting. Also, a thing or two from the NBA playoffs that are worth mentioning as we kind of approach the end of the show. We'll be right back.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Roll out the winning this May at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. Have a barrel of fun with your share of $300. Just play with hit a home run. Plus, your May drawing entries all count towards the Big League Series prize drawing in June. It's Tic Tac Home Run. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
First is buy-in, having guys that want to do it. That's the biggest thing. And having a plan for those guys and attacking it every day. It's the little things. Tell the guys we're going to focus every day. It's the attention to details. It's the can't win till you keep from losing mindset. Don't commit penalties. We're not going to want to start our offense inside the 30-yard line ever. Our goal is to get out past that, but it's each other knowing, understanding. I tell the guys all the time, we want to consistently hit singles. If you use a baseball analogy, we're going to hit the singles. We're going to hit singles. And then sooner or later, that pitcher's going to groove one and we're going to knock it out the park. So it's the consistent thing. And it's doing those little things over and over and over. But it starts with the fundamentals and the techniques. You'll hear me say that a good bit. It's the fundamentals. It's the hand placement. It's the blocking leverage. It's the returner knowing the tracks he has to run. It's all tied together. But I think it's for our guys understanding the concept and then the belief in knowing, all right, as long as I do my job, it's going to set up everyone else out on the field.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
One more time, we listened to the comments from Cam Achord. I think if there was one comment in that press conference that was my favorite or hopefully sums up how this guy's going to approach things, what kind of coach he's going to be, what kind of unit he's going to run, I think it's that one. I like it. All right, I'm on board with this guy. Gannon and Achord, I could follow these guys, listen to some press conferences throughout the season. I think they're going to be good, interesting characters for the talk show and hopefully get some results for the Packers. I love that he's talking about we're not going to commit penalties. We're not going to get backed up by committing penalties. And here's another thing, folks, and I want to get out ahead of this, okay? This is a very forward-thinking take. I'm going to plant a seed here that will take root and probably not blossom for 2 or 3 years. I'm not going to blame whatever special teams issues the Packers may continue to have on this guy. In fact, I was done blaming Bisaccia at the end last season. I'm like, guys, you can't be these guys all can't be morons. Mo Drayton, Sean Menenga, Ron Zook, Sean Slocum. They can't all be morons. Statistically, it's too unlikely that they've hired this many morons to coach special teams in a row. I was ready to be done blaming Bisaccia. I'm not going to blame this guy. I can't blame this. If they start coming up short, I can't blame this guy. It's got to be on LaFleur then. That's the only thing. Because Brian Gutekunst has drafted another kicker. He signed Sky Moore. If Matt LaFleur doesn't want Sky Moore on the roster, that's on him. If he cannot carve out enough time and effective time and energy in his practices to make special teams better. That's on the head coach. I'm not putting it on this guy. Not all of these special teams coordinators can be boobs and idiots and morons. It's just statistically impossible. So I look at the head coach, and I'd look at the general manager too, except the general manager's trying to get better at kicker. They got a bona fide kick returner. Like, I can't look at anyone right now other than LaFleur. This guy can't be a bonehead. He can't be an idiot. It's just not, it's statistically. Goose Egg's comment on the live stream says, they can't all be morons. Are you sure, Grant? Did you watch them play? Yeah, but I think it's bigger than the coordinator. And most people on this planet are stupid, myself included. That's one of the most disappointing parts of getting older. I'm 28. One of the most disappointing parts of getting older is realizing that all of the people that you thought were wise and smart and are going to make sure everything in this world is okay, those people are idiots too. Most people are idiots. And I used to think when I was younger, I can't wait to be a wiser, smarter, older person who's really got their stuff figured out. Thank the Lord we have all these smart people running things. And this sounds like a critique of our government. It's not, although it's part of it. You know, getting older, you realize, hey, most people are just like me. And I'm pretty dumb. You know what I mean? Or the funny thing is you get older, hey, most people are kind of lazy. Yeah, they like their job. They want to do a good job. But, all right, how can I get to 5 o'clock with maybe not doing that thing? Answering that email, fixing that problem at work, that type of thing. I just refuse to believe that 4 or 5, or at this point, maybe even 6 or 7 Packers special teams coordinators in a row are all bad hires and all complete total dum-dums, nincompoops. I can't. I just listen to this guy talk for 15, 16 minutes. I'm like, yeah, this guy has an identity. He's got lots of coaching experience, seems to have some good fire and some good juice, which I think for a special teams coordinator might be pretty important. A defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator can be boring and stoic and nerdy and well-groomed. Special teams coordinator, I kind of want a guy who's maybe a little nuts, a little off his rocker. Look at Darren Rizzi. The guy's losing his mind. Or the old cat in Pittsburgh who's always jumping around and, horse playing with his guys on the sideline, that type of thing. Aaron in Marshfield points out, this dude is Favre. Yeah, it's funny. You listen to Gannon, he kind of sounds a little Rodgers-ish. Softer spoken, Now, Rodgers would talk for longer. Gannon's answers were pretty succinct for an opening press conference, at least compared to Hafley, and more succinct compared to this Achord guy. Sounded a little bit like Rodgers. This Cam Achord guy sounded like Favre. How are we going to improve special teams? Are we going to improve special teams? Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. He's from Mississippi, right? So it makes sense. Would sound just like Favre. This guy talks a little bit faster. I think he has more than 2 or 3 brain cells to rub together as well. Unlike Favre. DeMarcus Covington is speaking right now as their defensive line coach. Maybe we'll get to that audio tonight on my show. Maybe pick at that a little bit. It's just nice to hear. We don't need to listen to every single press conference in its entirety. But, I see right now Matt Schneidman posting some audio and some video of DeMarcus Covington talking about Lucas Van Ness. That's a player that matters. I'd like to hear the coach's opinion on that, right? For the special teams coordinator, they just drafted a kicker. I'd like to hear the special teams coordinator, his opinion on that, on Trace Mack. Some good insight on what makes a kicker good or what makes a kicker, kick. What makes him tick. We're going to take an earlier break in this last segment. We come back, a little potpourri, some things that we missed, including a newer development in the Diana Rossini, Mike Bravel story, which is crazy. Also an NBA and NHL thought before we wrap up the show. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Bill Michaels Show, last segment here. I have a thought on the Diana Rossini situation, just a little footnote I saw on Twitter. And actually a thought on the fallout of the Celtics and the Sixers series. We'll get to that. But I do want to shout out Bill's sponsors for his golf outing coming up on Saturday. I know many of you will be joining us for the Bill Michaels Open at gorgeous Viroqua Hills. I drove by there on Sunday. I'm very excited to be back this week, and I'm very lucky that I get to be over in that corner of the state 2 weekends in a row. Who's got it better than me? Nobody. Well, Bill's in the Bahamas, so. Well, but the Bahamas doesn't have the cheese corner. We'll chalk it up to a draw. I don't need to spend time debating this, but we'll be at Viroqua Hills on Saturday for the Bill Michaels Open. It's the 3rd annual Viroqua Tire Shop, Legal Guardian Services, Citizens First Bank, Effinger Sales and Service, Kickapoo Creekside. I drove by that on Sunday as well. Excited. I know Bill and company will be getting dinner there Friday night. WCCU Credit Union, Sleepy Hollow, Chevrolet, and Buick, AJ Family Homes and Property, Schlicht Insurance, The Tree Assassin, Martin Flooring, Cheese Corner, shout out, Swenson's Doors, River Valley Auto, and the Nelson Agri Center. And I believe we'll be joining Ernie Betts there on Saturday morning, or we have historically. I don't know. We get pretty crazy Friday night. Ernie might have to drag me out of bed at the hotel. We'll see. I'm going to pretty early start at the Nelson Agri Center, right there downtown, main drag of Viroqua. Some new reporting from the, what is this? Black Sports Online, BSO Entertainment, Sports and Culture by Robert Little. So Kevin Goldschmidt, I'm reading this. Kevin Goldschmidt, the husband of NFL reporter Diana Rossini, has felt sidelined for a long time, quote, and is grappling with what insiders describe as deep, quote, emasculation following allegations of a romantic relationship between Rossini and the New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel, according to a source close to the couple. The marriage has taken a serious hit, that's the quote, in the wake of the scandal. Probably could have told you that. The source told the Daily Mail on Sunday. Goldschmidt, a Shake Shack executive, is said to be dealing with public embarrassment while still caring about Rossini and hoping to repair their relationship if possible. The source indicated the controversy, quote, might be what finally pushes things to a breaking point, unquote. No divorce filing or other specific plans have been publicly disclosed. Goldschmidt, 40, a Pennsylvania native and Penn State graduate, serves as vice president of total rewards and HR technology at the fast casual burger chain. He and Rossini married in a small Zoom ceremony in September 2020 during the COVID pandemic. They have 2 young sons, Michael Andrew and Joey, who are, it looks like, 5 and 6. 4 and 5. 4 and 5. Yep. The scandal erupted after Page Six published photos in early April showing Vrabel and Rossini holding hands. Luxury resorts. Insiders have said Rossini was in survival mode, quote, focusing on her children and avoiding the spotlight after deleting her social media accounts. The source noted the disparity in professional fallout. Vrabel kept his job while Rossini's career faces uncertainty. That is added to the strain. Online speculation is fueled, about her son Michael, blah, blah, blah. There's just one point that I really want to get into here, and I'm going to scroll ahead to let's see here. There's one thing that I wanted to see. For those unfamiliar with Goldschmidt, he stayed out of the public eye. Compared to his wife's high-profile NFL reporting career, his professional focus has remained on corporate leadership in the hospitality food industry rather than media or coaching. Vrabel, 50, in his first season as Pat's head coach after previous stints as a player and coach with the Titans. He and his wife Jen, share 2 children and recently attended a marriage counseling retreat in Utah. Rossini has not commented publicly beyond her initial denial. The source describes her as prioritizing motherhood amid the turmoil. I just, when Diana Rossini comes out, it's going to be interesting if she says anything that then is going to make it another thing for Vrabel and another thing that he has to answer for. The part that I was looking for, and I just find this is a quote from an insider. Her marriage has taken a serious hit, and she's also dealing with the loss of Mike, who she genuinely loved. Everyone involved should get divorced, far be it from me to tell you how to live your life. Why would you want to reply? So this Kevin guy, the Shake Shack executive, says that he feels emasculated. Don't feel emasculated. You're not the person sleeping with another man's wife. I think of the Mad Men scene when Jimmy Utz confronts Don, who is taller, stronger. Jimmy should feel emasculated by Don, and he looks him right in the eye and says, "You're garbage. I laugh at you." That's what Kevin Goldschmidt should feel about Mike Vrabel. Everyone involved should get divorced. Well, we're going to fix it. Man, this was an affair of like 6 years. Now the whole world's looking at it. It's gotten so big, we're discussing it on the Bill Michaels Show. It's just a ridiculous story. Entertaining to follow. Feel bad for the families involved. I don't understand why Mike and Jen Vrabel were flying publicly through Boston Logan and Salt Lake City. Like, why are you going in public airport? You know that people are going to take pictures of you. You can't do a private marriage summit? Okay. It's just odd to me. Mike Vrabel publicly shopping at that store in the airport where people can take pictures of him. It's just bizarre. That's all. We'll pick this up tomorrow at 10. I know DeMarcus Covington speaking right now, so we'll have a little more dribs and drabs coming out of Green Bay. Maybe we'll catch up with Mike Clemens if he has a little time to hop on and join us. Maybe we'll circle back and, talk about his first impressions for both Jonathan Gannon and Cam Achord, who spoke yesterday. We picked that audio during the show. I'm going to talk more Brewers tonight on the Evening Drive. If you've never listened to my show, if you're listening to this, you're like, this guy doesn't suck so bad. I'll give his show a try. It's very similar to what you've been hearing. But my show normally runs 4 to 6, and you can listen on the Wisco Sports Zone app if your local affiliate does not carry it. And if your local affiliate doesn't carry it, do me a favor, give them a call and be like, hey, what the hell? You don't have a local Evening Drive show. Let's put Grant's producer on. We could do a lot worse. That's the pitch, by the way. You say that exact thing. Put Bill's producer on. We could do a lot worse. That's the pitch you make to your local. Call your local representatives. Appreciate everyone listening and putting up with me this week until Bill is back. Bill will be back on Friday, just in time for the Bill Michaels Open at Viroqua Hills. Okay, that's going to do it. I got no guests to tease tomorrow. That's my project for tonight, is to get some people booked. I always laugh when Bill asks me at the end, who do we got coming up tomorrow? It's like, Bill, I don't really, quote unquote, work ahead. So we'll have some guests tomorrow. It'll be good. We'll react to more that is stated at Packers rookie minicamp this week. And we didn't really touch the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs. So we'll circle back and do a little bit more of that tomorrow as well. It's time for us to go. Till we talk again 20 hours from now. Yeah, 20 hours from now.